weather. No.
Wasn't feeling it.
No.
Mumford and Sons, they're still knocking about, are they?
Looking forward to the show, the day that big interview, see what the crack is there now with Minister James Brown.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath on an exclusive.
You're good. See, you're a good old character because you play it down, but there'll be good. It'll be meaty enough now, knowing yourself.
It's just interesting to get some stuff on the record.
Suppose you're not going to tell us what time the interview's at.
It's just on after 9. It's not really worthy of the build-up.
No. But no, I don't know because I haven't seen it. No, I think it's going to be good, and it's streamed on live as well. There's a video of it up as well.
Yeah. Always. Come here. What are you going to do in the good weather?
What have I got to do in the good? Oh, hooked up an old dodgy trailer. Do you see the trailer?
Is that yours?
That's mine.
Is it like for a lawnmower or something?
Yeah, it's kind of for a bit of everything.
Did you buy that?
Yeah, years ago. Bought it for about 450, 350 maybe.
Tell me the axles are galvanised.
No, there's a bit of rust in one of the old things on it, right enough. Is it a galvanised chassis? Is that what you need?
You need that, sunshine.
Do I?
Or you'll find the wheels behind you somewhere.
No, don't need that.
Anyway, go and have fun in your trailer.
Right,
Is it double axle?
It is double axle.
And do you have to the little mark on your licence required for double axle?
Well, do you know, funny enough, I do.
Right, we'll
you know how that happened
Facebook.
about very quickly, because when I did my driving test, I did it here, right? But then I was living in UK in Northern Ireland for about 10 years, right? So I had a UK licence. But when I changed over my Northern Ireland licence to the Southern licence, which I have now, right? I transferred, like I have, I think I can drive a bus, I can drive a lorry, I can drive a motorbike, everything transferred, and I did no tests for it.
That's a strange thing to admit.
No, but that's it.
I need to have a look at the back of this license.
But you know, you're more than welcome. I'll show it to you tomorrow, right? But there was a few things when then when I got the credit card one, they knocked off a couple.
Oh no.
Yeah, and I says, why? Says, like, you didn't do the thing. I says, but I had them before, but I couldn't get them. But I have like the trailers and all the other stuff. I can drive a bus and stuff like that.
A bus?
I think it's a big lorry type thing. Yeah. I'll show you tomorrow. But honestly,
I wouldn't drive a bus on that license if I were you.
No, but sure, when I'm not qualified to drive a bus, I'm not going to be driving a bus, but I can pull a trailer, like.
I can't drive a bus, but I can pull a trailer. Good man. All right, thanks very much. All right, I can do a tractor, a Honda 50 in a car. That's on a boat. But I can't find the handbrake on the boat.
That's all right.
I can't find the handbrake. All right, it's 9:02. Let's get a news update over to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. Donegal County Council's Economic Development Strategy Policy Committee has been told that there's tough decisions to be made on rates, particularly in terms of how reliefs are offered to businesses. The SPC has now begun a process of discussing how to approach the issue of rates with a view towards bringing an agreed position to the full council later in the year. SPC Chair Councillor Pádraig McGarvey says there's a balancing act to be achieved, and this is the start of what will be a long process.
Richard Gibson, the head of finance at Donegal County Council, presented to the SPC and raised the awareness around the two areas around rates, Section 9 provision for the abatement of rates in respect of vacant properties, and also Section 15 scheme for the waiver of rates, which come into operation on the 10th of July in 2024. And I suppose there'll be in-depth discussions about the rates again, though there will be decisions need to be made for what's best for towns and villages and indeed the county.
Police in Derry are appealing for information surrounding the whereabouts of a 13-year-old boy. Peter Quigley was last seen at 8 o'clock yesterday evening in the Gallia area of the city. When he was last seen, he was wearing a grey t-shirt, dark shorts and dark trainers. He's approximately 5'5" in height, with dark brown hair and is of a medium build. Over €17,500 has been raised to help cover the funeral costs of the two teenagers who died after getting into difficulty in Lough Swilly. It's understood that 16-year-old Emmanuel Familola and 18-year-old Matt Subanda were trying to retrieve their ball that had entered the water in Buncrana. Matt passed away at the scene, while Emmanuel was taken to hospital, where despite best efforts he succumbed to his injuries. A GoFundMe has been established by Insight and is shown yesterday evening, with the €10,000 goal being surpassed within the first 13 hours of its establishment. A statue of Red Hugh O'Donnell is to be erected as part of a cross-border riverine project connecting Lifford and Strabane. Mr John McLaughlin, Chief Executive of Donegal County Council, made the announcement yesterday at the International School Arts Competition on the life of Red Hugh O'Donnell. The chieftain, called the Fighting Prince of Donegal, was born in the county and died in Spain in the 1600s. It follows a 5-year-long campaign by the Red Hugh O'Donnell Association to see a commemorative figure installed in Lifford. And finally, a book of condolences has been opened at Letterkenny Garda Station in memory of Garda Kevin Flatley, who died in the line of duty over the weekend. The 49-year-old was fatally struck by a motorcycle while carrying out a speed checkpoint in North Dublin on Sunday. Garda Flatley was the 90th member of An Garda Síochána to die while at work. Looking now to the weather forecast, a sunny and warm day today, highest temperatures of 20 to 22 degrees in light to moderate easterly breezes. That's all for now from the news desk. Back with more at 10.
Throbbing headache, toothache, backache, period pain. No one pain is the same. But for all those everyday pains, there's a moment when you start to feel release. That moment when you start to get back to being you. And you feels amazing. Panadol Extra film-coated tablets. Powerful pain relief. Release starts here. Contains paracetamol. Always read the label, leaflet.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello and a very good morning to you. 5 minutes past 9 on this Tuesday, the 13th of May 2025. How are you all keeping? I do hope you're very well indeed. We are broadcasting live as always from the northwest of Ireland, and it is stunning. Blue skies since the break of dawn, and it's going to stay like this for quite some time to come. So if you like this type of weather, thumbs up. If you don't, I'm afraid you're going to have to endure it with the rest of us. Anyway, we have a busy show. As Lee Gooch mentioned there, the housing minister was up in Donegal. He had been invited to come up. I know there was a broad welcome from people from all sort of political backgrounds to him making the effort to come up and to listen to, well, he first met with council staff, I believe, then met with councillors and went on then for a couple of visits around the county to get a sense of the defective block crisis. We'll play that interview out for you after the first ad break, get some reaction to it. 100% Redress Councillor Ali Farron will be joining us and others. And you can assess the interview yourself in relation to the defective concrete block scandal, because this is the man, Minister James Brown, ultimately is responsible for it. Bottom line is, though, the quick read, if you're on the scheme at the moment and you're waiting for the cap to apply to you, the increase in the cap to apply to you, it's going to be months, open-ended months, according to the minister himself, and it's going to also be quite some time, it would seem, before we see the review of IS 465. Right, and there's people going to have questions living in social housing, and we also talked to him about building on the N56. You'll, as I say, the answers you'll be able to determine yourself from that. But we'll play that out in a bit. Going to look at the newspapers today. Have to say, some obviously there's lots of news in the newspapers, but not a great deal of variance within. The Irish Times this morning, I thought this was interesting comments from Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban. He's criticised Micheál Martin for standing on the side of an empire after the Taoiseach denounced his willful abuse of the EU veto powers. And as I said, the comment's quite interesting, and I think the way he sort of frames Ireland and Ireland's position on some of this stuff would resonate with a lot of people living in this country. Mr. Orban, who has been in power since 2010, has frequently used veto powers, halting decisions that must be made by unanimous agreement, which have in the past delayed aid for Ukraine. He has threatened to use the veto mechanism to halt Ukraine's accession as an EU member state, which he has claimed would bankrupt Europe, saying this week there is no Ukrainian EU accession without Hungary. Well, speaking to Euronews, the Taoiseach described Hungary's efforts to block the accession as outrageous. To my view, or in my view, it's essential that Ukraine becomes a member of the European Union for geopolitical reasons, he said. Well, Mr. Martin accused the Prime Minister of unreasonable exploiting the mechanism of the veto, saying Europe has made attempts to try and unblock these issues through mediation and engagement. But I want to go on to his response then. Where is that? I'll come back to that in a second. But effectively, he said that Hungary sort of has always respected and had a kinship with Ireland and its independence, and that he's disappointed, the Hungarian leader was disappointed to see Ireland lose that to some extent. But I don't see those. They're not quoted in that article. Anyway, I was reading it myself somewhere else. I don't know why it wouldn't be in that article, but there you go. Opposition parties, this is in the Irish Independent, opposition parties have dismissed the idea of social media ban for children aged under 16, saying it's unfeasible and amounts to kite flying. Taoiseach Simon Harris has said serious consideration needs to be given to a ban and asked people's views on the idea on Instagram at the weekend. He said he would be seeking cross-party examination of whether Ireland could follow the Australian ban and believes the Oireachtas should work constructively on the issue. But Sinn Féin described his comments as kite flying and said a comprehensive study was needed first to take into account the views of mental health experts, school representatives and youth groups. If a ban is to be considered, then it should only be considered on the basis of empirical data after consultation with experts in the field, the party's communication spokesperson Joanna Byrne said. I am unsure a complete ban would be technologically feasible, as the headline social media companies such as Google, X, TikTok and Meta may agree to ban under 16s, but there's an array of other platforms that teenagers use, such as gaming platforms and chat rooms. The difference is gaming platforms and chat rooms actually have really quite good protections in there for children in terms of abusive language, swear words, etc., whereby the other platforms are the Wild West, really, effectively, and anything goes. X is the biggest porn site on the planet. That's just an absolute fact. So any party that wouldn't want to see, or any individuals that wouldn't want to see us having a really strong look at restricting people of a certain age to platforms like TikTok, Snapchat, and X, for an example, it would concern me, to be honest with you, because kids don't need to be in these spaces. And you know, some of the stuff that really, really freaks me out is that, you know, these 14, 15-year-olds, they're on the likes of TikTok, and you know, sometimes you'll stumble across a video and look how many of some of these videos are favorited. You know, it's absolutely unbelievable what is going on. What adults are doing, archiving this kind of stuff. You know, people really need to be fully aware of what's going on, and I think they really need to look at getting 16-year-olds off these, people under 16 or under 15 or whatever the age might be, off these platforms. And to compare it to gaming is I think, silly, because, as I say, you know, there's quite robust banning systems and word screening on the likes of Xbox, PlayStation, and others. Just returning to the learner driver delays, this is in the Irish Daily Mail. Aspiring motorists are waiting close to a year to take their driving tests as waiting lists reach their highest level since the pandemic. And remember, they were supposed to be coming down. Weren't we supposed to be hiring loads of people to come in and reduce them? They're higher now than they were during the pandemic. New data from the Road Safety Authority shows 83,000 applicants were waiting for a test in April, a significant increase from the same month last year, where there were 58,860 on the wait list. The RSA has a target of 10 to 12 weeks from the moment a learner driver books their test until the date that they're invited to choose a time slot. 10 to 12 weeks. Are you having a laugh? However, there's now an average of 27 weeks of a wait, and even the least busy centres are almost double that target. The last time it was within target nationally was almost 3 years ago in July 2022. So you know exactly what it's like out there. There's bound to be, every household listening has someone waiting on a driving test or knows someone in their, you know, wider family circle or friend circle that are waiting on a driving test. The delays are ridiculous, especially in a rural county like ours. Father Ted writer Graham Linehan vowed to continue criticising trans rights as he denied hate crime charges in a UK court. This is in The Sun. The 5 times BAFTA award winner, 56, pleaded not guilty to harassment and criminal damage. He's accused of abusing trans activist Sophia Brooks on social media and smashing her phone in October. Sophia Brooks is a female identifying trans. She was born a man. They are described by prosecutors as hate crimes, but Linehan remained defiant after his court appearance yesterday. He told supporters outside Westminster Magistrates Court, "I have pleaded not guilty and will defend this case at trial. In doing so, there is far more at stake than my own name. For 6 years, ever since I began defending the rights of women and children against a dangerous ideology, I have faced harassment, abuse and threats. I have lost a great deal, but I'm still here and I will not waver in my resolve. That trial will go ahead on September 4th. On a far more serious note, and this is in the Irish Daily Mail, the Gaza Strip will likely fall into famine if Israel doesn't lift its blockade and stop its military campaign, food security experts said in a stark warning yesterday. Nearly 500,000 Palestinians are facing possible starvation, living in catastrophic levels of hunger, and 1 million others can barely get enough food, according to findings by the International Food Security Phase Classification, a leading international authority on the severity of hunger crises. The group said there is a high risk of outright famine if circumstances don't change. Now, often when we talk of famine, it's about, it's certain countries, climates, and what have you. This is a neighbouring nation stopping food going in to another country and forcing the starvation of. I've seen some of the pictures of children, and they're skin and bones. That's all they are, skin and bones. I find it, whatever about the leadership of a state, I just would hope that if Ireland were doing this to Wales, for an example, that even if the government were insisting on doing it, that the Irish would rise up and say, this is not acceptable. You can't do this to another group of human beings. I'm not blaming all Israeli people, but I mean, is there a mass opposition within Israel to what they're doing to these kids next door to them? Because I would hope that we would go, you can't do that, and overthrow the government and come up with some fairer solution. But Israel has banned all food, shelter, medicine and any other goods from entering the Palestinian territory for the past 10 weeks, even as it carries out waves of airstrikes and ground operations. Gaza's population of around 2.3 million people relies almost entirely on outside aid to survive, because Israel's 19-month-old military campaign has wiped away most capacity to produce food inside the territory. And lastly, some words from the Pope directed at journalism. It's in the Irish Daily Star. The new Pope has asked journalists to gather the voices of the weak who have no voice. Leo XIV spoke passionately to a huge crowd and invited reporters and dignitaries inside the Vatican yesterday in his first news conference. At the start, he quipped that he hoped everyone would stay awake to the end of his speech. He was interrupted several times with applause, cheers and chants of Viva Papa as thousands crammed into the huge auditorium to hear the new American pontiff. The hall is located right next to the lodgings he stayed in until he was elected on Thursday. He said, "Let us disarm communication of all prejudice and resentment, fanatism and even hatred. Let us free it from aggression." Fanatism. I can't pronounce that word. It's fanatics, but fanatism. Okay, I presume it's fanatism. All right, that was a run through the newspapers this morning. We'll be back with more after this short break.
Daily newspapers are courtesy of Cosgrove, Centra and Diner, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Crawford Tile Spring Sale now on in our bathware department. Back to wall toilets, €199. 12 by 900 slider door, end panel and tray, $699. Wall hung vanity units and basin, $399. All in stock and ready to go. Crawford Tiles Castle Finn on 91-43942.
Attention job seekers. Atlantic Technological University is looking for dynamic individuals to join our team of administrative professionals across our campuses in the west and northwest of Ireland. We're looking for individuals to form a panel of administrative staff to fill posts across the university. Enjoy competitive pay, a supportive work environment, and the opportunity to grow your career with us. Find out more at atu.ie/jobs.
Summer Sounds at Harvey's Point. Every Wednesday from May the 21st until June the 25th, a magical evening of music, song and dance from some of Ireland's greatest stars. Gourmet dinner, the warmest of welcomes. Don't delay. Book today. harveyspoint.com or 074 972 2208. That magical evening on the shores of Lough Esk awaits.
There's never been a better time to get on a bike. Bike Week runs from Saturday, May 10th to Sunday, May 18th. It's easy, fun, and there's something for everyone. Enjoy a wide range of events from community and school cycles, fun bike festivals, safety workshops, and much more. Visit bikeweek.ie for a full list of events taking place in your county. Bike Week is funded by the Department of Transport, coordinated by TFI, and brought to you by the local authorities and sport partnerships.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
The time's 9:20, so yesterday, at relatively short notice, I think people are only advised on Friday, the new housing minister, James Brown, came up to Donegal for a series of appointments and meetings and what have you. And we caught up with him at the old courthouse in Lifford and asked him a few questions. Here's the interview. Why was it important, Minister, for you to come up to Donegal today?
So when I was appointed Minister for Housing, one of the key issues I knew that was affecting people was the defective concrete blocks situation. A lot of families in Donegal were very much devastated as a result of the circumstances they're going through no fault of their own. So I wanted to come up to Donegal to meet with the community, to meet with representative groups, to get a good understanding of how the progress has been made to date. Some very significant progress has been made, with over 500 commencements and 88 completions, and how we can drive that on even more quickly, but also to get an understanding of the outstanding issues for those families in the community. We have legislation to go through in the coming months in the Oireachtas to strengthen up the supports that are there. So really get that sense of meeting with the officials from the County Council, meeting with county councillors, the cross-council group in relation to this, also with a number of residents, for example, from Ellen Park, from families who feel that their properties were downgraded, and with local representatives as well. So really get a whole round comprehensive approach, and that's why I'm here in Lifford in County Donegal.
Well, it was last October, I think, that the government agreed a 10% increase in the defective concrete block scheme. Homeowners already on the scheme, they're facing shortfalls, some have told us, of over €40,000. When can we expect that change to actually take effect?
So I think that was a very important decision by the Cabinet, and I understand people's frustration. It was made last October, but then we had a general election and several months to form a government. So unfortunately, that has delayed getting that legislation passed, and that's little comfort for those families, I know that, but unfortunately there is a process here. So I intend to drive that legislation now through as quickly as possible over the coming months so that people can have the benefit of that 10%.
So it will take months, you believe?
The reality of any legislation, there's 10 stages in the Houses of the Oireachtas. That's the boring part, but unfortunately there is that there. But I've no doubt that everybody within every party will be anxious to get this through as quickly as possible. It is tied in with other legislation as well that needs to be looked at in relation to the defective concrete blocks here in Donegal and across the rest of the country as well. We do have the new NSAI recommendations from the Department of Enterprise. They're being reviewed as well, and I think those recommendations will require legislative change as well. So there's a few moving pieces going on there.
Have you any idea when the review of IAS 465 will be completed? Any timeline at all?
Again, my understanding is from the Department of Enterprise, they want to do this as quickly as possible, but there does have to be a consultative process, and that's so everybody can feed into the recommendations that will come out of that. But again, I think our role here is to follow the evidence, and that's what we'll be doing.
There is frustration at timelines on this. You might be aware there's hundreds of homeowners who years ago were told by their engineers that the homes needed to be demolished, but the housing agency, and what some have described as a desktop exercise, overturned that for other options such as how to leave and what have you. and this doesn't factor in what we know now, the causes of this, yet to be formally established by IS 465. But with all that in mind, 200 odd families, many of them appealed as far back as October 23, and they've heard nothing from the housing agency. It's that kind of sort of delay and lack of communication that seems to be driving a great deal of the frustration. We as humans are really quite good at dealing things when we know what we have to deal with.
No, absolutely, and I think you're 100% correct. When we know there's a pathway there's timelines, it can remove an awful lot of frustration. And again, I think the scheme did take a little bit of time to get up and going, and the appeals process has also taken a bit of time. We've seen significant progress now in terms of commencements, but what we want to do now is see the appeals being dealt with quite quickly. They will start very soon, and I have no doubt once they start, we'll be processed quite quickly. I'm working closely with Deputies Pat Cope Gallagher and Charlie McConalogue up here, but also with the senators. You have Senators Niall Blaney and Senators Nicky Bradley and Manus Boyle, and with TDs from the opposition parties as well, because we want to get the best results we can here. So I hear people's frustrations. I'm here to really get a better understanding myself, so I can ensure when I go away from Donegal, where I am this evening, that I have the information I need to drive this on now as quickly as possible.
You will also hear calls for social housing and progress in that regard. Those commencements you talk of don't include the hundreds, if not thousands, of people in social homes waiting for news of what might happen to them. Are we still at a listening stage, or have you any news in relation to that?
Well, that's why, again, I'm here in Donegal to engage with Donegal County Council. I'm relatively new in the role, and I want to make sure that the steps we take now are the final steps that are needed, and whether that's people's private homes or whether it's social housing, that we get the right decisions made now, so we are not here again in another year looking at another review or other steps.
Well, just with that in mind and with respect, this kind of feels like we're almost behind where we might have been with the previous housing minister. Are you taking a specific interest in defective concrete blocks with a view to maybe addressing some of the obvious failings, such as a family with children with additional needs wishing to build on the same site whilst living in their existing property? Common sense stuff that doesn't seem to make sense. Are you open to looking at stuff in the past that was, we said we couldn't do, and potentially doing it?
Well, I got a very comprehensive briefing from Minister Darragh O'Brien on my appointment, but again, that's why I wanted to come up to Donegal, one of my early acts in as Minister for Housing, to talk to the people who are affected, the families, the communities, the homeowners, and also their representatives, and hear from them in terms of how the scheme is working, what else can be looked at, and then also engage with the other departments, the Department of HSE, for example, who can help in these types of situations as well, so we can ensure that people are looked after as best as possible. But at the same time, a scheme that's there, get it moving as quickly as possible so people can have more commencements and get the results they need, so they can have homes that they can live in, their kids can grow up in, and they can feel safe in.
Locally here, there's quite an objection to the TAI banning the building of houses on the N56. It's an arterial route that runs throughout the entire county. There are families there that have the resources, want to be able to build like other people have been able to do in the past, but they can't because of the National Development Plan. Is this something that you'd be prepared to look at? Because it seems to be the will of the council and, of course, the people that there could be some flexibility there.
No, look, any situation will be looked at. I come from a rural county myself with a lot of national and regional roads, so I know that real frustration. As I say, I deal with it as a rural TD, so I do. There's a lot of moving parts there. In particular, road safety is very important, and how that might affect people being able to build on roads and any particular roads. But look, it comes under the Department of Transport, but I certainly engage with the Cabinet Minister there and see what can be looked at. I know it is being looked at. As I say, it came up in the programme for government that those types of issues will be considered. It is a real balancing act. People, in my view, should be able to build in their communities on land they own. We also have to be very conscious of road safety as well, and the number of people whose lives are being lost on the road, and how we ensure that people can have that right to be able to build where they need to build in their communities without risking road safety. I think in an awful lot of cases you can square that circle, and it's something I'd be anxious to see reviewed.
Two more brief questions. Housing building in general, often it's about the infrastructure as much as anything when targets are being set. You know, you would know Milford here, for an example, is under a hosepipe ban at the moment because of the poor water infrastructure in that area. One of the biggest problems in ramping up the building of houses and in counties like Donegal is the available infrastructure to service those housing needs. And, you know, there are those that feel Uisce Éireann don't do enough in that regard in terms of water and sewerage. Is that a real problem that's perhaps not given enough attention when we talk about the housing crisis?
So I think in the programme for government, it's very clear significant funding will now be given to infrastructure. That includes Uisce Éireann and ESB networks as well, so that we can see the infrastructure put in place. We need a lot more homes to address the housing crisis. That also means the infrastructure being put in place, including from Uisce Éireann. A significant amount of additional funding will be given to Uisce Éireann under the National Development Plan. But that will also be ring-fenced for water and wastewater treatment for the delivery of homes. Up to now, Uisce Éireann have been very much focused dealing with the issue of legacy issues of environmental issues right across the country, and their regulator is Environmental Protection Agency, and a lot of their work has been around conservation. But we will be giving them very large funding to ensure that the infrastructure will be put in place, because we need that infrastructure there so we can deliver the homes we need where we need them.
Finally, the third, fourth, maybe even the fifth housing minister have asked the question of when is the report into alleged planning corruption in Donegal going to be published? It's 8 years on now. As I say, you're just the latest in a long list of ministers that I've put this question to. Are you reviewing it? Are you prepared to publish it?
Well, it is on my list. I do have it. It's something I am reviewing, and once you have that review completed, we'll then see where we go from there with it.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Join us this Thursday at the Cope Women and Menswear Department, Dunlow, for our Customer Appreciation Day. Enjoy exclusive discounts, exciting prizes, refreshments and much more. It's our way of saying a big thank you to all our amazing customers. Celebrate with us this Thursday at the Cope Dunlow.
Are you a community hero? Return is championing over 3,000 community initiatives across Ireland's cities, towns and villages with our Small Town Big Difference campaign. For your chance to win €2,000 for your local community group, tell us how your initiative is making an impact in your local area with a deposit return scheme. T's and C's apply. Visit return.ie/heroes for more information.
Celebrating 50 years, McDade's Bathroom Plumbing Tiles in Buncrana continues to be Donegal's go-to destination for stunning bathroom makeovers. With a vast selection of premium tiles and bathroom products, our showroom is your ultimate one-stop shop for crafting the perfect space. We've earned our reputation through expert advice, unbeatable prices and a dedication to customer satisfaction. Visit our showroom in Cockhill and Buncrana and see why we've been Donegal's top choice for 50 years and counting. Call us at 07493 63050.
Massive savings at Doherty Super Value Carndonagh. At our butcher's counter. Fresh Irish pork loin, better than half price. Irish chicken fillet portions, 550 gram, only €5. 7-Up, Club Orange and Pepsi, 3 for €4. Real rewards, real value at Doherty Super Value Carndonagh.
Cupra. People tend to become obsessed. What is it? Where do I find it? How do I get one? And the new Cupra range will only increase that sense of desire. With power options from petrol and diesel to plug-in hybrid and full electric. Experience the new Leon, the new Formentor and the new all-electric Born VZ. Available now with exclusive offers. That thing you feel? It's called obsession. Visit CupraOfficial.ie.
Your local Cupra dealer is DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 97 21396.
Okay, so just before the break, we heard from the Housing Minister. Amongst the councillors meeting him yesterday was Councillor Ali Farron of the 100% Redress Party. I suppose in the first instance, credits where it's due. He came up to Donegal, he met with council staff, he met with councillors, and he met with effective homeowners. That is a positive step.
It's a massive step, to be fair, Greg, I think. You know, we thought, when I was chatting to you on the way in yesterday, we were saying, is he coming with something? He came with nothing, really. But I would imagine he came, with a fear that he would, that he would get a lot of abuse, that he would be, that we're all up here mad in the head wanting to get at him. And I think he was made more than welcome. And I think as a result, he listened. I think, he is 12 weeks in the job now. Obviously, as the redress party, we would have wanted him here the first week. But he came yesterday and spent quite a while in Lifford. Now I would love him to be going around my area or around any show and you see But as a first step, I think it's a start. Now, how did you asked him a lot of questions going by that last interview, and you got nearly the same answers as we got. He committed to nothing.
How do you assess it though? There's two ways of looking at it. I would say objectively listening. Either he is not au fait with the situation at all, or he is, but he wants to start with a clean sheet and hear directly the issues and address them. So it's A or B or something in between.
Well, my reading of it is that he's a lot wiser today than he was when he came here. It's all very fine reading and getting up to speed down in Dublin. Like he sat across the desk from me and all the other defective concrete block councillors. He met with his Fianna Fáil party councillors. And to be fair, the last minister probably let them down as much as he let anybody down by not coming. So, he built bridges a lot yesterday. I was able to look into his eyes, and we had interactions. We were human, and he now can see that the people. And after our defective concrete block, group met him. He also met the Mike Action Group or MAG. He met the downgraded homeowners, and I had the privilege of sitting in on that meeting. And them people poured their heart out.
Well, let me ask a direct question, because there wasn't a direct answer to the question I put to him. Say, for instance, in relation to the downgraded homeowners, they've got appeals in with the housing agency who downgraded them at a desk in Sligo. They've appeals in since October 23, is it?
Yeah.
Unacceptable delays. His answer to me effectively is that, there are delays. Was he able to give any?
No.
Okay.
No. Listen, the one thing I think that he committed to was to listen, or two things, and he committed to coming back. Mm-hmm. But now, he didn't say he was coming back in 2 weeks' time, a month's time. He didn't even commit to meeting, the likes of MAG or the downgraded or ourselves at any time soon. But he did commit. He committed to nothing else.
Just say, for instance, in relation to the legislation, it was agreed last October that there would be a 10% increase. Those coming onto the scheme now get that increase, as far as I understand, but those who are already on it don't, because legislation has to be introduced. Now, it's amendments to legislation. That's going to take months. But we know in recent history, when it was very pressing, legislation can be passed in a moment. We know in terms of when something's being agreed, certain elements of the process can be truncated or removed altogether. So some might feel if there was actually a new political will and a new political way, the first thing you would do is use the same mechanisms that were used through COVID, for an example, and fast track this legislation. That would be a very early win. But no, it's months. It's the system's slow. It's drawn out. It's complicated.
That's probably the political answer that he's supposed to say anyway. Let's be honest. The commit to nothing. But however, there was 5 TDs, Donegal TDs, in that room yesterday. And Pádraig McLaughlin spoke up and said that the opposition would certainly not block or hinder in any way the previous legislation that was worded being pushed through the Dáil ASAP. But I think it was Marty or Lisa pushed them big time. on a date, and no date was given. Like, we expected, and we would love to see it done before the summer recess. I wouldn't say it's a
Well,
month.
it can't be. It's months and months, and it's tied into other legislation, which I don't understand. Decouple it, fast track it. That would be, as I say, if I was housing minister, that would be an early win. I would be able to, you would hope you'd be fit to deliver that. So, you listening to the interview, he understands, or if he doesn't understand, he wants to listen.
Well, he understands after yesterday.
Does that though? Because we don't need ministers for understanding. We need ministers for housing. He understands the problem with planning on the N56. That's grand, but it's also, he's a legislator, a very senior politician on very good money. Do you get the impression now that he will take that knowledge with him and make changes, such as I put to him, being able to build alongside the house that's existing if it's essential? Simple little stuff.
We found out over the last year that simple things like the side-by-side and all them things, they're simple to be new. And unfortunately, in legislation, they're not as simple. So I think he listened. I genuinely don't know. Again, I would be more afraid when he goes back to Dublin, till he goes back to his senior civil servants. What will he be allowed to do? I would love to get the opportunity to meet them in the same environment as we met the minister yesterday. Because at the end of the day, he's a human being. He has 2 years on him, and he listened. And what will come out of it, we'll have to wait and see, Greg. The way I see it.
All right, stay there. Councillor Martin McDermott is chair of the Council's Defective Blocks Committee. He was in the meetings as well and met with the minister separately. Councillor McDermott, what's your takeaway from yesterday's meeting? Yes, it's positive he came up. Yes, he was in listening mode. He didn't rush. He was here for quite some time. But beyond that, what have you taken from this meeting, this visit to the county?
Morning, Greg. Good morning, Ali. Well, look, as you said, Greg, it's important that the minister came up and spent the time with everyone yesterday. And he spent from about 1:30 to about 10 o'clock last night in the county, which is a positive. And we had an opportunity to put to him the issues that we're having, the problems that we're having. And this was one of the big problems that we have to deal with, is the timelines that it's taking to get a number of these issues that we've been pushing for since probably going back as far as October for the 10% increase and the 8% increase in rate per square foot, and a lot of other issues as well. But it's the timelines that really are very, very difficult to take when you're 6 or 7 months down the line and still the legislation is not in place. We emphasised that to the minister. He certainly took that on board.
Did you get any further insight into the drag here in terms of getting the amendments over the line that need to be gotten over the line? Did you get any further insight into timelines and what the delays might be?
I suppose there was a few drags, and that one drag was the general election, where we didn't have a government set up to the end of January, and then a new minister in place. The department officials were there yesterday as well, and that is something that we have to keep the pressure on department officials to make sure that they have their work done and that they have this legislation ready, wrote up and ready to go. The department officials are saying that legislation for the 10% is near enough ready to go, but it will have to go through, as he explained to you, 10 levels within.
But we've seen that bypassed in the past, though. That can be overcome if the will is there. We know that because we've seen it happen.
And to be fair, I think yesterday the will was there from all political parties to make that happen, and I think that was said at a meeting that, when that legislation, if the minister wants to push that legislation and try and get it through the Houses of Oireachtas as quick as possible, that the opposition wouldn't stand in the way of that they would let that through without. So did
he give a commitment to that point to say, okay, then I will make that effort. I'll try and do that.
He certainly did. Said that he would make that effort, and after we were finished last night, we had an opportunity to speak to him for a few minutes, and I said that to him. And he said that that would be something that he would certainly be working on once he gets back to Dublin this week, and try and push that forward, so that hopefully our own defective concrete block committee will be meeting the department within the next couple of weeks, and hopefully at that stage maybe they will have some answers for us as to how and when and what date that we can see that legislation passing.
What about those in social housing that are, they might feel that they're not forgotten, but they might feel they have been forgotten, that nothing seems to be moving for them? Did he give you any stronger commitment than the comments he made to us, which effectively said he was aware of it?
Yeah, well, the social housing scheme is something that both the department and our own council, our own executive, have been working on over the last, particularly very heavy over the last 6 or 7 months, to get how that scheme is going to work for social houses. There's been a lot of engagement over the last number of weeks on that. The department are saying that legislation for the social homes will be ready to go to cabinet within the next, well, they're saying within the next 4 to 6 weeks. Again, I would take that with a pinch of salt, because the social scheme has been discussed. We'll go back to July of 2023 when the new enhanced scheme came in. We were told at that stage that legislation for the social scheme would be in before the end of that year, the end of 2023. We're now in the middle of 2025 and we still don't have the social scheme passed. We got, going back about this time last year, they did issue a draft of the social scheme to us. That draft was out for consultation. Our points were given in to the Minister at that time, Darragh O'Brien, and the department officials in relation to the social scheme. The council put in their issues that they foreseen with the social scheme and redoing social houses. So that was all done about a year ago, and we're still a year down the line with no social scheme. So, look, we made that very clear to the Minister yesterday as well. All parties made that very clear to the Minister yesterday that, the social scheme is certainly lagging very, very far behind here, and it needs to be prioritised, and that needs to get to Cabinet as quick as possible.
Do you have confidence in this Minister to be able to take on any resistance he might encounter from the high-ranking civil servants in the housing department? Do you believe he has the tenacity to do that?
Yeah, I certainly do. I think he's someone that listened yesterday, someone that took it on board, and someone that had a good insight into what exactly is going on. I think that, and Ali was there for our meetings yesterday, and every councillor put on the county jersey yesterday for Donegal and for the homeowners. We worked together, we fought together to make sure that we got our points, the most important points, across to the Minister and his officials, and the same with the Mike Action Group and the downgraded homeowners. They again met the Minister and put their points across excellently well, to make sure that he left this county on no uncertain terms, that the issues that we are dealing with every day, the ones that we have been pushing for over the last, particularly the last year, needs to be resolved, and that the timelines that it takes to get these resolved is just too long. All
right, thanks very much, Councillor Martin McDermott. But, it's another year. It feels like it's another year. We're heading to... By the time summer recess is over, Ali, this government's going to be, 20% through its lifespan, if you know what I mean. And there's this sense that, we should be far further on than a minister trying to get a grasp of the situation so he can go back to Dublin and try and work on it. Those who are actually affected by this are probably going to think, oh, more waffle, and we can understand that, right? I think. But are you optimistic? I don't want to put emotions in your head or words in your mouth that this is a step in the right direction, or is this just really another holding pattern? Kick it down the line for 6 months. Can we really give out for another 6 months? Because we've been told it's going to be months before legislation comes. IS 465 is going to be next year. Potentially could be late 26 for all we know. I do have to think on of those that are living in these crap houses.
Well, I'm one of them. So
I think on you too, don't get me wrong. Yeah,
living in a defective community. I'm speaking to you today from a defective community centre, so I know all about this.
Oh, I'm not trying to educate you. I'm just asking.
Do I think it's going to be fast? No. But, I genuinely believe the four TDs that was in there yesterday, two of them were the Fianna Fáil TDs. And I genuinely believe, they've been around a long while, but I think they got a bigger education yesterday than they ever got before, especially from the ladies, the downgraded homeowners, and Lisa. You'd be hard not to act on what you heard yesterday, in my opinion.
Okay.
So
I mean, those affected by it have two choices. They can have faith that this government can will achieve what they're saying they will through the housing minister, or listen and do something, or they say no, we're giving up. We're just going to wait to see if a different party can get into power and a different approach. But each individual's going to have to make up their own mind.
People in this county haven't time to wait.
I know
there's houses crumbling as we speak.
But that's what they're being asked to do.
Mm.
Okay, well, we'll monitor it. Listen, he's been up here. There's a lot of stuff on the record. We can be have no doubt that he knows precisely now the key issues in terms of, those that have been downgraded, those that are waiting on the cap to be lifted for them, social homes, and what have you. So all we can do at this point is wait. Ali Farron, for the moment, thank you. Bye-bye. Take care of yourself. Right. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number, by the way. I'm going to be back with more after we take a break.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
The Hyundai 252 Offers event is happening this week. Discover the all-new Inster, 2025 World Electric Vehicle, and the Santa Fe, Women's World Car of the Year 2025. Explore the new Ioniq 5 and discover why Ireland loves the best-selling Tucson and award-winning Kona. The Hyundai 252 Offers event happening this week.
Your local dealer is Dibbers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 9122 600.
A water conservation order is in effect from May 6th for 6 weeks in the Milford area to safeguard the water supply for essential purposes. This order follows many months of dry weather, putting the water source under stress. Please do not use a hosepipe or sprinkler and conserve water wherever you can. Together, we can safeguard our water resources. Learn more at water.ie/WCO. Ishka Erin, delivering water services for Ireland.
Here at Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville and Bridgend, we stock recliner and fabric suites, dining tables and chairs, beds and mattresses, curtains and rugs, and don't forget our large flooring department stocking carpet, vinyl and laminate flooring. We can't be beaten on price or quality and give a weekly delivery service to Donegal, Derry and Strabane, not to be matched. So call in today to Braden's House to Home Interiors, Moville or Bridgend for all your home furnishing needs.
It's the Right Price Tiles wood flooring and bathware 70% off sale. Get up to 70% off all your purchases. Up to 70% off all tiles, all wood flooring, all bathware. Everything's reduced in store. The 70% off sale at Right Price Tiles wood flooring and bathware. Stores nationwide. Sale now on.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Get set for summer with all new arrivals dropping every week, from fashion to footwear and homeware to cosmetics. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
So, a sunny and warm, dry day today. Temperatures 20 to 22 degrees, winds light. Now, a Donegal County Councillor is tabling a motion at today's Letterkenny Milford Municipal District meeting, urging that the council consider holding any planned public gatherings going forward in the town parks and not in Letterkenny itself. Good morning to you, Councillor McBride.
Good morning, Greg. How are you?
I am good. So are you talking protests and demonstrations?
I'm not. What I'm talking about, I'm actually going to propose an amendment to my own motion. I'm going to take out the town parks and put in any other suitable location in Letterkenny. And I suppose going back to Saturday the 3rd of May, we had a pro and an anti-immigration rally in Letterkenny. And while I acknowledge that everybody has the absolute right to protest, I think it caused massive disruption in Letterkenny, particularly on the main street and the businesses in the vicinity of the main street. And these businesses are ratepayers to Donegal County Councillor, to Donegal County Council. They're taxpayers to central government. And, they have to be allowed to trade freely, especially on Saturdays, bank holiday weekends, because Saturdays are normally one of the busiest days for shopping in Letterkenny.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the spirit of my motion.
It's the whole idea, though, of protest and demonstration that maybe it will inconvenience, maybe it will disrupt. You can't, can you, try and tell people who are passionate about something, oh, you have to go and do it over there. They won't follow that directive. Are you saying the water protests, for an example, that went down through the streets of Letterkenny, if they were to take place next week, would instead happen in another suitable location? I mean, that's not very democratic, is it?
I think they can take place in other locations around the town. I think, when we look at things like, events like the 10K, there is alternative routes that can be put into place. I think, they would still have a fairly strong impact. I mean, most of these marches and stuff like that are all covered, by the media, by the newspapers, by television, and by radio, people like yourselves. And I think, the people who want to protest still get their opportunity to protest, and the media put out their story for them. And I think that, we have to protect the business people around the main street in Letterkenny. I'm in Letterkenny a long time. I think you know the town very well, yourself, Greg. And people are struggling, and businesses are.
Have you done this? Are you proposing this motion in consultation with Letterkenny Chamber?
I haven't talked to Letterkenny Chamber directly about it, but there was an article in the Donegal News. I think it was on the Thursday, was it? After the protest, where their chamber themselves have, highlighted the issues and the problems that it caused for their members in the town of Letterkenny.
I understand, but the reason I ask that question is because what they are seeking is more consultation from Gardaí. They never called for protests to be banned from Letterkenny Main Street. So I'm just wondering, where did you come up with this idea that you believe that people's right to free assembly, because we live in a democracy, we have the right to free assembly, and we have the right to protest, and we have the right to demonstrate, and sometimes that involves disrupting people, whether we like it or not. I'm just wondering, is this a solo run that you've come up with yourself, or is other people also endorsing this and suggesting that you should be doing this?
I've had other businesses that are not members of the Chamber of Commerce approach me about the issue. And I believe myself, and I said it at the very start, everybody has the absolute right to protest. But I honestly don't think that the people that are protesting want to impact on people's livelihoods and lives. I honestly do not think that. But I think, the emergency services, I'll raise this today in the Chamber in Letterkenny. I think, in Garda Síochána, the Chamber of Commerce, the emergency services, all these people need to sit down and look at it and figure out where is the best place to have it. Give everybody their chance to protest. But don't close down Main Street.
But just respectfully, that's not, I don't think that's how it sounds a little bit unconstitutional to me in our right to free assembly. But listen, we'll see.
Greg, if I could just maybe highlight this here. The main street on our capital city in Dublin is O'Connell Street, and there's never any marches on O'Connell Street in Dublin. They use an alternative route in the city for marches, and we've been up there before ourselves, and I've been a member of the people that went up when we protested about whenever the defective concrete blocks, the migrant group went up there to protest. But there was a route set down for us, and we were happy to to fall into line with that and march up to the dials, from our starting point on the route that was prescribed for us. Now, I think this is not about stopping anybody from doing anything. I think it's a 1-1 for everybody.
Okay.
It continues to allow the people that want to protest to go out there, but it also helps the people that's in business to try and keep their businesses open, and particularly not to lose a Saturday of a bank holiday weekend. And I think this can be achieved, and that's the spirit I brought the motion on, or I'm bringing the motion onto the council on today.
Okay, and just to be clear, if it was a defective block protest or a cancer services protest, the same rules would apply, not on the main street.
Well, I would imagine it's across the board.
Okay.
I don't think and it would be a member of a defective concrete block. Protest would want to close down anybody's business for a full day on a Saturday or any other group. I think people realise that these people make their living. They employ people on the main street of Letterkenny and the vicinity of the main street, and I think they deserve fair play. They are ratepayers and they are taxpayers.
Okay, Councillor, I must leave it there. We're right up against 10 o'clock. Thank you very much indeed. That's Independent Councillor Michael McBride. What do you think of his proposal? 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. News is just going to be a couple of minutes late.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
How about Specsave ears?
Not sure.
Do you get it? Specsave ears.
Yeah, but no.
Okay, Specs and we also do hearing 2 savers?
Think about it. Should have gone to Specs and we also do hearing 2 savers. Can't see it catching on.
Okay, so we're saying Specsavers do eyes and ears. Senses savers!
Technically true.
Yeah.
But actually terrible.
Oh, right.
At Specsavers, we're hearing experts too, and have been for over 15 years.
Oh, should we just stick to Specsavers then?
Yeah.
Book a free hearing check today. Terms and conditions apply.
The Balmoral Show is back and bigger than ever. Come and join farmers, foodies and families for 4 fun-filled days at the Icon Exhibition Centre, Lisburn, from the 14th to the 17th of May, with the return of the JCB Dancing Diggers, buzzing children's area and delicious local food and drink. The big show has something for everyone. Don't miss the agri-food event of the year. Join the fun at the Balmoral Show, sponsored by Ulster Bank, from the 14th to the 17th of May. Book your tickets online now at balmoralshow.co.uk. See you at the show.
Celebrate your love at Encourage Hotel, nestled in the heart of Donegal, with breathtaking views of Errigal Mountain and elegant surroundings. Our venue offers the perfect setting for your special day. Experience exceptional service and create unforgettable memories. Discover more at encouragehotel.com.
Getting your first electric car is like meeting your partner's family for the first time. Nerves are normal. You were stressed about awkward silence with her dad. Now you chat for hours about sport. You worried her mum wouldn't like you. Now she likes you better than her own son. Likewise, once you experience how great an EV can be, you'll never look back, especially if it's a Skoda. Order your electric Enyaq or Elrock today.
Skoda.
Your local Skoda dealer is DMG Motors, Clare Road, Donegal Town. Telephone 074 9721 396.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's Donna Marie Doherty at the news desk. The Housing Minister left Donegal wiser yesterday evening, according to a 100% Redress Party councillor. Councillor Ali Farron was part of 2 meetings with Minister James Brown yesterday. Councillor Farron says 2 commitments were made, a commitment to listen and a commitment to come back. He told Greg Hughes that it was a step in the right direction.
He built bridges a lot yesterday. I was able to look into his eyes, and we had interactions. We were human, and he now can see that the people. And after our defective concrete block, group met him. He also met the Mike Action Group or MAG. He met the downgraded homeowners, and I had the privilege of sitting in on that meeting. And them people poured their heart out.
Donegal County Council's Economic Development Strategic Policy Committee has been told that there's tough decisions to be made on rates, particularly in terms of how reliefs are offered to businesses. The SPC has now begun a process of discussing how to approach the issue of rates, with a view towards bringing an agreed position to the full council later in the year. SPC Chair Councillor Park McGarvey says there's a balancing act to be achieved, and this is the start of what will be a long process.
Richard Gibson, the head of finance at Donegal County Council, presented to the SPC and raised the awareness around the two areas around rates, Section 9 provision for the abatement of rates in respect of vacant properties, and also Section 15 scheme for the waiver of rates, which came into operation on the 10th of July in 2024. And I suppose there'll be in-depth discussions about the rates again, though there will be decisions need to be made for what's best for our towns and villages and indeed the county.
Over €19,000 has been raised to help cover the funeral costs of the two teenagers who died after getting into difficulty in Lough Swilly. It's understood that 16-year-old Emmanuel Familola and 18-year-old Matt Sabanda were trying to retrieve their ball that had entered the water in Buncrana. Matt passed away at the scene while Emmanuel was taken to hospital, where despite best efforts he succumbed to his injuries. A GoFundMe has been established by and is shown yesterday evening, and with €10,000 goal had been surpassed within the first 13 hours of its establishment. Police in Derry are appealing for information surrounding the whereabouts of a 13-year-old boy. Peter Quigley was last seen at 8 o'clock yesterday evening in the Gallia area of the city. When last seen, he was wearing a grey t-shirt, dark shorts and dark trainers. He's approximately 5'5" in height, with dark brown hair, and is of a medium build. A memorial service has taken place at Dublin Castle for Garda Kevin Flatley. The 49-year-old father of two was hit by a motorbike while conducting speed checks on the R132 at Lisson Hall near Swords on Sunday. The Roads Police in Garda was remembered by colleagues at a ceremony last night, and books of condolences have been opened at Garda stations around the country, including at Letterkenny. It's emerged families are receiving letters about hip operations on their children from 15 years ago. An audit is being carried out to see if unnecessary surgeries were performed on children. It's still not known how high the figure could be and how far it could go back. Taoiseach Micheál Martin says he doesn't want to comment until the full details have emerged.
Well, I think first of all we need to see the full report. I haven't seen the full report yet. I will be talking to the Minister for Health again later today. The Minister for Health has been very consistent, saying she wants to see the full report, or get the full report, and then late before the House publish it, and then take actions on foot of it. But as of yet, I haven't seen the full report.
The Taoiseach says Donald Trump's latest tariff deal with the UK is concerning. Simon Harris will raise the issue at Cabinet this morning, saying the agreement between America and Britain solidifies tariffs. Speaking before the Cabinet, the Taoiseach says it's not where Ireland wants to be.
I do think it's concerning that when you hear an administration saying we want to cut a deal, we want to do a deal, and then they do a deal with the United Kingdom that still leaves tariffs in place. It's a far cry from where the European Union and Ireland wants to be. We want to sit down and negotiate at a European level with the United States, 0 for 0 tariffs in many, many areas. We want to actually break down trade barriers.
A statue of Red Hugh O'Donnell is to be erected as part of the cross-border riverine project connecting Lifford and Strabane. Mr John McLaughlin, the Chief Executive of Donegal County Council, made the announcement yesterday at the International Schools Art Competition on the life of Red Hugh O'Donnell. The chieftain, called the Fighting Prince of Donegal, was born in the county and died in Spain in the 1600s. It follows a 5-year-long campaign by the Red Hugh O'Donnell Association to see a commemorative figure installed in Lifford town. Looking now to weather, warm and sunny today with highest temperatures of 20 to 22 degrees. That's all for now from the news desk. Back with headlines at 11 o'clock. The obituary notices this Tuesday morning, May 13th. The death has occurred of Peter McHugh, 8 Camas Park, Strabane. Peter's remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow at 10:15, going to the Church of the Immaculate Conception, Strabane, for 11 a.m. Requiem Mass, with interment afterwards in Strabane Cemetery. The death has taken place of Myra Lynch, nee McDade, 25 Pennyburn Court, Derry. Her remains are reposing at her home. Funeral from there tomorrow at 9:30 for 10 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Patrick's Church, Pennyburn. Interment afterwards in the city cemetery. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 10:30 in the morning. The death has taken place of Annie McCallion, nee Harper, 8 Melmount Villa, Strabane, and formerly of Claddagh, reposing at her home from 12 noon today. Funeral from there on Thursday morning at 9:20 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmount at 10 a.m, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family time please from 10 p.m. to 11 a.m. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has taken place of Michael McGillian, 16 Cannon Hill, Omagh, and formerly of Strabane, reposing at his home. Funeral leaving his home tomorrow morning at 9:20 for Requiem Mass in the Sacred Heart Church, Omagh at 10 a.m. Interment afterwards in St Patrick's Cemetery, Drumquin. Family time please from 10 o'clock tonight. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Margaret O'Gara, Cashel, Glencolmkill. Remains are reposing at McCabe's funeral home Ardra today from 3 o'clock until 6 o'clock, with removal to St Columba's Church, Cashel, Glencolmkill for 7 p.m. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The funeral Mass can be streamed live on mcn.live. The death has taken place of Nuala McCahill ní McGarvey Ranafast. Her remains will repose at her home today from 11 a.m. until the rosary at 8 p.m. Housed private after the rosary and on the morning of the funeral. Funeral Mass will take place tomorrow at 11 o'clock in St Mary Star of the Seed Church, Annagry, with interment afterwards in the new graveyard. The funeral Mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty Funeral Director's Facebook page and on the parish webcam. For family information and more details regarding wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Hey mate, how's all in Oz? No crack here, just it's 2:30 in the morning. An early night these days. Look, I'm not partying, I just can't sleep. Tomorrow will be fun.
Trouble sleeping, low mood, stress and feeling anxious can all be signs you should check in with your mental health. For support that can help, use the My Mental Health Plan tool at yourmentalhealth.ie from the HSC.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio.
A very good morning to you. You're very welcome along to the second hour of the 9 till Noon Show, 10 minutes past 10. Coming up very shortly after the next break, we'll have Community Garda Information for this Tuesday, the very latest appeals and information from Garda Síochána first here on the 9 till Noon Show. Catching up, though, on some of your comments here. How dare Michael McBride tell protesters to protest somewhere out of sight? Because that's exactly what he's saying. Who the hell does he think he is? Many Main Street customers also need the opportunity to own the street for an hour. If the protest weren't against shoplifters, would the same rules apply? Hi Greg, in fairness, people should never have to protest, but our councillors are ignoring the real concerns ordinary people have about mass immigration and its crisis in Donegal. Another, that councillor on about banning protests should get in touch with Trump. He would be more in line with his thinking. Did the minister meet with Frank McBurty yesterday? I don't know, to be honest with you. There were a number of meetings for councillors and the minister. I'm not sure what the story was there. In fact, there's 30 councillors. I couldn't tell you if they were there or not, just to be clear. I'm listening to this, that the minister came down to Donegal to see firsthand the issues in Donegal himself. I think it's a joke that we should be grateful that a Minister for Housing coming to see the issues. Did reading the brief not fully inform him of the issue? Did he think the seriousness of the issue was made up? I just find it shocking that we should be grateful that a man who was very well paid to do a job came and now believes, let's see if his actions match his words. But the words were light, really, effectively, in terms of, I recognise this, I'm going to go and fix that. Would Councillor McBride say the same to defective block campaigners or the cancer campaigners? I put that question to him before 10. The demonstration in Letterkenny was not people talking in my name, nor most of the people of Letterkenny. Councillor McBride is right. The town park is the place for these types of gatherings. Thank you for asking the question. Replanning, another review. We're no further on, no problem. And that's off the back of some calls I've received from people who are frustrated that they can't get planning on to the N56, and it's all over the shop, really. And it can be a bit hit and miss too as well. And I'm not sure there's anything in there to relieve that frustration, but we shall see. Another caller says, reality is that previous governments made a decision not to fix the housing crisis here, have had all these words before. What makes him think there's been a change of attitude in Dublin? That's just some of those comments. Good interview, Greg. Unfortunately, same stalling tactics as before from government, as Johnny Logan says. What's another year? Which is quite timely, of course. That was his Eurovision song, wasn't it? And the Eurovision starts tonight, the semi-finals, I believe. Right. Look up at the skies today. No long trails and full length of the sky. You just might ask why and not feed us the high low pressure bull. It's the cows are to blame, of course. I saw long trails behind planes on the way to work this morning. I'm not trying to convince you to believe anything else, by the way. If you want to believe what you want to believe it. I have absolutely no interest in changing your view or your point of view, and I'm sure you're the same of mine. I don't even really know what the belief is, and I get frustrated only because I would like to understand what people are saying when they talk about trails coming out of airplanes. I'd like to know what people are saying in relation to that. Auburn would want to keep his stones in his own glass house. The sooner the Hungarians get him out, the better, says a listener. Very simple solution to social media, Greg. Solves misinformation, hate speech and issues with kids. Make social media legally liable for what's posted on their platform. Make them suable, and you'll soon see things get cleaned up fast as their bank accounts are threatened at a class action level. Well, there's various... I mean, Europe is pretty tight on the social media companies, and they do fine them. It doesn't seem to make much difference. There's much looser controls in the United States, for an example. It's a very complicated area to police. The Guardian on your show last week emphasised the fact e-scooters are not allowed on footpaths. Someone pasted me this morning, past me. Well, the guards can say it, but it can't make people do it. I've seen, since that interview, I've seen 6, 7 scooters on footpaths. 2 of those were going the wrong way up the road. It's all over the place around Letterkenny. You wouldn't take you long to go out and nab people if you wanted to. Absolutely ridiculous that Graham Linehan is going through just for defending women. So much for freedom of speech, cancel culture alive and well. Well, I wonder if the Supreme Court hearing will work in his favour. I have a suspicion, and I've been right a couple of times before, I have a suspicion it will actually come down to criminal damage of the phone rather than him misgendering someone as the other person might see it. So I think really what that's going to come down to is, did he damage that person's phone that was worth 400 quid or something along those lines? You know, I think that's really going to be the nuts and bolts of it. Re-Israel citizen protest. Yes, there is protest and people against what's happening within Israel, but the majority have been conditioned through school and then the mandatory military service to support what's happening. So it's not as big a opposition as one would hope. But, like, can you be conditioned to think that that's acceptable or okay? That's what gets me, you know. So, like, it can only then be, like, so say, for instance, you can be conditioned to think it's okay to purposely starve children to death or to blow them up. But you would think that that's absolutely abhorrent in your own country. You wouldn't do it. You'd protect kids to the death. Then you must be conditioned to think that those children of a different race or colour or creed are not real children. Do you know what I mean? That's the only way you could separate the two issues out in your mind, I would imagine. Because children are children, as far as I see. It doesn't matter where they're from or what their background is. Starving them and blowing them up is not acceptable. And it wouldn't be acceptable within Israel. So how can you train and condition someone that the majority think it's okay to do that outside of Israel? I mean, surely they know what's going on. And I'm not, that might sound very anti all of Israel, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm just wondering where the sort of opposition from within Israel, from, you know, normal free-thinking people like we are all, why is there not more of a protest to not the reaction to Hamas necessarily, or not simply to purposely starving these kids and the women as well. But anyway, I can't understand it and never will, I suspect.
It's time for Vision Ireland Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Tuesday the 13th of May. You're playing on the brown sheet for the daily prize of €400. The reference number is S17. It's game number 20. The numbers are 26, 33, 70, 18, 80, 46, 21, 27, 81, and finally 86. Phone your claim to 9104833 before midnight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your Vision Ireland bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Print Supplies and Frosses delivers managed print solutions that save you time and money. With remote servicing and local support, we take the hassle out of printers and photocopiers. Stay efficient, stay supplied. Email sales@printsupplies.ie today. Print smart, save money, trust local.
Mr. Blue Sky, please tell us why. The Euro Millions jackpot is an estimated €140 million. Play responsibly, in-store, in-app or at lottery.ie. The National Lottery. It could be you.
This month, Foy's in Ballybuffet and Letterkenny are having a massive display clearance sale. We're making room for new arrivals with incredible discounts on display furniture, including sofas, dining room furniture, bedroom furniture and more. It's your chance to grab top quality furniture at unbeatable prices. With the largest showrooms in the Northwest, Foy's is the place to shop interiors and paint. Foy's, where the best deals are waiting for you.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today. The Community Garda Information slot is brought to you by Sheridan Security Systems, monitoring homes and businesses in the Northwest for intruder, fire, panic and medical signals. Call Sheridan Security on 91-26025.
And from the Falcarra Garda station, we say good morning now to Garda Niall Maguire. How are you, Niall? How are you keeping?
Great, Greg.
Good?
Good morning to you and all your listeners.
A little bit that way. Okay, good stuff. This is Community Garda Information for this Tuesday, the 13th of May, and we have our first appeal, and this is an assault causing harm investigation.
Yes, it's classified as assault causing harm, but the injuries are non-serious in nature. Two men were fighting each other at Lower Main Street, Letterkenny, last Monday evening at about 8:20 in the evening. That was last Monday, the 12th of the 5th. The injured party sustained a kick on the head when he fell to the ground and was punched on the ground as well. Again, it's a very serious incident, but thankfully none serious injuries at this stage that we know of. If anyone witnessed this, maybe they could contact my colleagues in Letterkenny who are investigating this incident, and they can be reached on 074 9167 100, or indeed for all my appeals today, the Garda Confidential line as usual on 1800 666 111.
And that was 8:20 yesterday.
8:20 yesterday evening,
okay,
yeah, in the
broad
evening
daylight.
on Lower Main Street, yeah.
Okay. Reports of a dangerous driving incident.
Yes, we had reports in Burnfoot of a A-class Mercedes driving dangerously and committing several dangerous overtakes last Friday, the 9th of the 5th, at about 20:45, so 9:15 in the evening, still light again. A person reported this red A-class Mercedes overtaking, and as a result, other cars that were oncoming were forced to pull into the grass verge. So we're lucky we didn't have a collision there. So maybe if someone had a dash cam footage and they were on that Fawn Road in Burnfoot at around 8:45 p.m, maybe they could make it available to my colleagues in Buncrana, and they can be reached on 074 9320 540.
Distinctive enough car too, red A-class last Friday on the farm, Burnfoot there. Fraud deception being investigated as well.
Yeah, this is a possible fraud deception. We haven't got all the details in this one yet, Greg, but I suppose it's a concerning one in that a person was in Moville and they were using the ATM machine and withdrawing some cash. This occurred last Thursday, the 8th of the 5th, around 9 p.m. A lady was using the ATM and she noticed her suspicions were raised. There was two men close by the ATM and they were sitting on a bench or whatever, and they approached her and said, "Oh, the ATM's not working." But she ignored them and used the ATM, and it was working. But whatever amount of cash she withdrew, she was charged double that. So she thinks it was connected to the two men because they were quite insistent on standing behind her and using the ATM immediately after. They were saying, "Oh, it's my turn now," or whatever, you know. So it is suspicious. I don't know the workings of this, but it is a possible fraud and deception. Maybe something like a cash capture device may have been installed on the machine or whatever. So again, if anybody notices anything suspicious about an ATM machine, better be safe and sorry. Maybe move on to another one and report it to your local Garda
The thing
station.
is they indicated that it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And yet she continued to use it.
Yeah. So as again, if anybody,
We could be at the start of something, or it could turn out to be.
We haven't
interesting
identified. Well, I suppose an appeal not just to make people aware of possible frauds and stuff, but if anybody noticed or knows these two chaps, maybe they could contact my colleagues in Buncrana. They're a person of interest that would like to speak to you about it. You know,
and keep yourself peeled around ATMs.
Sure.
Broken windows. This is in the Dunlow area, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been a bad week for broken windows this week, Greg. We've had 8 since last week in the Donegal division, so it's a lot of inconvenience for people, and a lot of badness going on there in relation to broken windows, and it's the sort of casual kind of damage that it's so easy to commit, but people are being caught for these week in, week out, but we've had several cars and homes that have had broken windows, and it's a very serious crime for the injured party in this, and a very expensive thing, because a lot of the times insurance policies don't cover these windows. But the first one I want to appeal about happened in Dunlow on Saturday night going into Sunday morning, the 10th of the 5th. And this happened at a takeaway. There was a female and she ordered food, and she collected her food, and then on her way out the door she kicked over some chairs and broke a window, a lower pane on the door. So my colleagues in Dunlow would like to identify this female, and if she wants to come forward and let the Gardaí in Dunlow know who it was, well then they can be reached on 074 95 21 000.
Another broken window instance. These are 3 broken windows.
3 separate incidents. I'll run over them quickly, Greg. These happened in the Letterkenny Northern District, we call it now. So Saturday evening at 3 p.m, a vehicle had its window smashed. The vehicle was parked at the rear of a house in Curragh Lane, Lifford, and the rear window was smashed by a glass bottle. Then on Friday morning, the 9th of the 5th at 10 a.m, which is strange, at Emmett Park in Castlefin, 2 persons in balaclavas carrying crowbars broke the downstairs windows of a home and then fled on foot out of the estate. And then last Tuesday, the 6th of the 5th, at 5 p.m, the front window of a home was smashed at Hollybush Park, Port Hall, Lifford. So again, Letterkenny can assist in putting you in contact with the investigating guards there. And again, it's 074 9167 100, or indeed again the confidential line 1800 666 111.
Now, Go Purple Day. It's a really important initiative, this, for raising awareness, get conversations started, and I suppose letting people know what services are there for them when they find themselves in certain situations.
Yeah, this is a Garda initiative, and it takes place on Friday, the 16th of May, this Friday. So it's an initiative that aims to, it's basically increasing awareness of domestic abuse and give people information about the supports that are available to those experiencing it. So my colleagues from the Community Police Unit in Letterkenny and Lifford will be out and about on the beat that day, and they'll be giving out leaflets about local services that are available, and they'll be leaving them in places such as hairdressers, barbers, libraries, cafes, shops. All my colleagues will be wearing a purple ribbon that day. As I say, it is a Garda initiative, so we'll all be wearing one on that Friday. So the guards, I suppose, we're here to listen and support victims, and if you know someone or you suspect someone is maybe a victim of domestic abuse, please contact any local Garda station or 999 112 in an emergency. In addition to that, my colleagues in Donegal Town Garda Station are having an open coffee morning. Everyone's welcome at 11 a.m. And my colleagues in Buncrana, Charlene, is in partnership with Lifeline Services, are attending Carndonagh Community School for a talk on healthy relationships in conjunction with the school curriculum, Greg. So
yeah, okay, so it's right across the board. Finally, e-scooter information.
You had a caller on a few.
But it's every day.
Yeah,
it's every day. And
I know. Yeah,
every day.
Absolutely. Yeah. I suppose it's e-scooters are new. The legislation's even newer. But I suppose we want to come at it from a prevention and an information point of view rather than an enforcement point of view at this stage. Now there is enforcement happening in Donegal as well. So we're holding an e-scooter information stand at Letterkenny Shopping Centre on Thursday the 15th of May between 5 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. and the guards will be available to answer any questions in relation to e-scooters, and they have some information and leaflets in relation to the law and the requirements of the use of them. And everyone that attends, if they would like a high-vis vest, we have a supply of them, so everyone's welcome to come and have a little chat.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you so very much, as always. Garda Maguire from the Fulcara Garda Station. Great to see you. Hopefully you can enjoy the good weather over the next wee while. And that was Community Garda Information for this Tuesday, the 13th of May. It'll be available for you to podcast from 12:30 on our website, and you can watch it back too on our Facebook pages a little later on this afternoon. And it's back live for you after the 10 o'clock news next Tuesday.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
With over 1,000 TFI Local Link door-to-door services nationwide, if you're on our route, we're on our way. To use the service, simply pre-book the day before you want to travel with your TFI Local Link office. To find out more about door-to-door services in your area, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're Transport for you.
Ahead of the busy summer season, why not have your children's eyes checked at Inish Eye Care in Carndonna and Buncrana? Right now, when you buy one pair of children's glasses, you'll get a second pair free. Some terms and conditions apply. To see the full range of children's glasses available, call into Inish Eye Care at Carndonna Shopping Centre or Ardravin Square, Buncrana.
Ready to order your 252 Nissan? Then get to iMotors Letterkenny from Thursday, May 15th to Sunday, May 18th. Explore the exciting new Nissan range with cutting-edge tech, bold design and unbeatable value. We're taking 252 orders now. Your perfect car built your way. Saturday 10 to 5, Sunday 12 to 4. Don't miss it.
iMotors, fearless generation.
Discover delicious food at the Donegal Festival of Food. 2 incredible days celebrating artisan produce, crafts and creativity at the stunning Oakfield Park in Raphoe. Experience live cookery demos with top celebrity chefs including Marco Pierre White, Rachel Allen and Paula McIntyre, plus outstanding local talent. Savour tempting bites from regional producers. Enjoy craft brews, browse unique handmade gifts and soak up live entertainment and fun for all ages. It's all happening Saturday the 24th and Sunday the 25th of May. Book now at oakfieldpark.com. You don't want to miss it.
You're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. We are joined on the programme now by Ruth Garvey-Williams, Chair of Insight Inishowen and family friend. Good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And this is in relation to a fundraiser that has been established to support the families in Buncrana of Emmanuel Familola and Mati Sabanda, who we know tragically died after getting into difficulty in Lough Swilly on Saturday afternoon. I mean, I was going to ask why, but it's quite obvious, isn't it? It's to try and give these families support at the most difficult of times, Ruth.
Absolutely. Good morning, Greg. Yeah, we're so grateful for the overwhelming response to the fundraiser, which we only launched last night, and the incredible response from our community. These are 2 working single mothers who obviously can't work during this terrible time, and we want to stand with them so they have no worries or concerns about costs. They were asking in the first few weekdays of the week, you know, how are we going to manage? What are we going to do? And I sort of in faith said to them, I'm sure the community will help, and they will be utterly, I'll be seeing them this morning, they will be utterly overwhelmed and so grateful to know the community standing with them.
And the community rallied with them, of course, from the response of the emergency services in trying to find their boys safe, but very sadly ultimately bringing their boys home, to the reaction in the local community, the vigil, and now this in supporting this fundraiser. I hope they're getting comfort from the support they are receiving at what is an impossible time, or maybe in time they'll be able to reflect on the support. We all sort of absorb things differently, I suppose, in times of crisis.
It has been an immense comfort to them. I mean, there were several comments about the turnout to the prayer vigil on Sunday, just that sense, oh, everybody's with us. This is so beautiful. And this is their community. They've been here for over a year, working, volunteering, supporting the children at schools. So to know that people are grieving with them. Obviously, many folks in Inishowen have also had tragic losses, and so they know, they're the ones who know what the families are going through at this terrible time.
And of course, the situation, as terrible as it is, compounded by the fact that whilst they had become members of the local community, originally from countries quite some distance away, and perhaps some uncertainty as to where the wider family's future lies. Do we understand, or do we know at this point what the funeral arrangements might be in this complicated situation, Ruth?
Obviously, this is still ongoing. We're working together with the families. The boys will be buried here in Donegal, and we're arranging.
No, that's okay. You sort that out, and
sorry,
no
we're
problem.
arranging. Deeply sorry for that. My phone has not stopped ringing for 3 days.
I can understand.
Apologies. Yeah, we're working very closely with Father Bradley, with the centre managers, and with the families themselves to respect their wishes and to understand the cultural norms of how they would normally conduct funerals and burials, etc. So that's a bit of a process. We are very much hoping to be able to bring a couple of very key members of their families over for the funerals. That would be very important to have somebody to stand with them. And so that's also part of the process at the moment, and will be part of the fundraising that we've done to make sure that that can happen. So we're not expecting an imminent funeral. It will be several days before this can all be worked out.
And as well, to the wider Buncrana community, a lot of people affected by this, personally. I'm also school friends, people that they would have played with. These tragedies affect an awful lot of people, don't they?
That's right, Greg, absolutely. And there was a wonderful gathering of a lot of the services inside Inishowen, included yesterday, the HSE and lots of services really pulling together to ensure that we have a coordinated response, that anyone who's been affected by this tragedy can get some extra help to process their grief and process those emotions that arise.
Now, as you mentioned, the fundraiser was only recently launched, already exceeding the amount I think that you privately or publicly had hoped for. That being said, there is no upper level to this. These families are going to need an awful lot of support, so you're encouraging people to consider donating nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, we actually weren't sure what to put. I didn't know how many people would donate, so I just chose a round figure of 10,000, but the families will need more than that. So the response has been overwhelming. I can't thank people enough. I'm just so grateful for, I'm going to get slightly emotional here, but I'm so grateful for everybody who's given and everybody who's standing. Over 700 people already donated, and the message this sends to their families, and the fact that they don't have to worry about money. To speak to one of them yesterday who was actually worried about a bill that was needed to be paid, and said, listen, don't worry, I'm sure we'll be able to sort it out, and now we can.
And it is through the generosity of regular people that are doing this, that are taking those pressures off at what is an impossible time. And, don't want to get into the ins and outs of it, but there's a lot of hate out there, and unfortunately I've seen some of it in response to this. And I'm glad to see that love and care and communities is winning out.
Absolutely. Love wins every time, Greg. And look at our community. I love this community. We've always been a compassionate and caring place. Buncrana has just a wonderful reputation of gathering round in times of tragedy and heartbreak. And look at us again. Wonderful. I love the people of Buncrana. They are here in force, demonstrating and putting their money where their mouth is, and showing that they reject hatred and they embrace people who are here as part of our community.
We'll link the GoFundMe, and also it's on the Exchange's social media. So you just would search the Exchange in Facebook, would you?
Absolutely. The Exchange and Insight. Insight did it on behalf of the Exchange just to help.
But it'll be there anyway. People will find it between the jigs and the reels. Okay, thanks so much. Ruth Garvey-Williams, Chair of Insight Inishowen, and a family friend of the families that lost so much. Sorry, excuse me, that lost so much at the weekend. Right, let's see. Hi, Greg. I'm of the age when, as a child, we lay on the grass looking at the sky, clouds, aeroplanes, etc., and seeing the little contrails coming out the back. Remember it well. That is not what we're seeing now, and quite a lot of people are very aware of it. We also know the military has been tampering with the weather for years, and all over the world. Look at terrible disasters in the UK several years ago where villages were destroyed. There were lots of patent plan documents available for anyone who wants to read up. Typical of Councillor McBride complaining about a well-supported protest involving mostly locals, which lasted a couple of hours. Himself and the same won't be saying much next month when the locals will be gridlocked with the rally following the 4 days. Hi, Greg. The tactic of our councillors to vilify and label Donegal people is no longer working. We've had enough of the destruction of our country. Hi, Greg. In general, Letterkenny people are not instinctive protesters. This alone should have councillors sit up and take notice. I haven't seen I don't believe that it matters where people come from to protest, to be honest with you. We are a country, we're not all siloed, so like Letterkenny's there, Ballybofey there, Sligo there, but I wonder what the mix was in terms of sort of local protesters and those who have a legitimate right to protest coming in to protest. I did see some familiar faces from down the country, some citizens, journalists and what have you, but anyway, listen, it's done and dusted. I don't really want to open that can of worms. The scale of change in Letterkenny is unsettling. Our councillors can scold and condemn all they want, but the thousands marching will no longer be silenced on the issue. They don't want you silenced. They just want you doing it in the town park or somewhere else. Impartial to all protests, but don't others and not the proposer. Don't others and not the proposer are behind this, the most undemocratic of a proposal. The speakers whom are speaking at these protests are obviously a threat to someone. Okay, I get you. I understand where you're coming from there. All right. Let us see. I have to mention... I don't have to. I want to mention two things because there's a chance for you to win a nice wee prize on our social medias. It's simple too. So if you're looking for a fun day out with the family, don't miss the Castle Adventure Open Farms Machinery and Demo Show. It's happening on Sunday, May 25th from 11 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. There is something for everyone, live music from the Danny Byrne Band and Hard to Beat, plus a special meet and greet with the Grassmen. It's just €10 entry, and you can book your tickets now at openfarm.ie. We've teamed up with Castle Adventure Farm to give you the chance to win an overnight stay at the Great Northern Hotel and free entry for a family of 4. To enter, just head over to our socials, follow, like and share for your chance to win. The winner will be announced on Highland Socials on Monday the 19th of May. Please be aware, though, of fake accounts. They do try and jump on these competitions. We will never ask you to click on any links to provide details. Caroline, do you know where that the Castle Adventure Open, do you know where it's taking place? Okay, I'll just double check on that. I don't see it on the sheet of paper. But we'll get that information to you because it sounds like fun. More fun to be had on Thursday, the 28th of August, because we are going to Riverdance 30, the new generation. It's coming to the Gaiety Theatre in Dublin for a limited anniversary tour. Now, a lot of the reasons why some of us don't do stuff is because it's a bit of a handling. Getting a lift, getting a hotel, bish, bash, bosh. Well, we've got all that sorted for you because we've got a package, overnight accommodation, bed and breakfast at the 4-star Grand Canal Hotel in the heart of Dublin. A luxury coach travel up and down. Tickets to the show, of course. Wouldn't it be some crack if we dropped you at the door without tickets? And we'll also allow you some free time in Dublin. We don't have a ton of tickets available for this, so if you'd want to go down and see Riverdance at the 28th of August, book your place now. 07491 25,000. €100 deposit gets your seat secured, and then you can sort of pay into us then in the lead up to the event itself. Or you can go onto the website highlandradio.com. It's €249 per person share, and that's down in Ballyshannon, is it? Okay, brilliant. I think I used to do OBs at that for Northwest Radio. Okay, that's down in beautiful Ballyshannon on Sunday, May 25th from 11 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. That's not Riverdance. That is the Castle Adventure Open Farm Machinery and Demo Show.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union. Digital loans now available. Apply online or via our app today and get your loan transferred directly to your current account.
Celebrate your love at the award-winning Villa Rose Hotel and Spa Ballybuffet. The elegant Capri Suite hosts up to 300 guests with a private garden and romantic stone cottage for unforgettable wedding photos. Experience exceptional service that turns your dream wedding into reality. Visit villarose.ie to start planning.
Make real summer savings at Super Value. Like Super Value Fresh Irish Pork Loin Roast, now half price. Fresh fruit such as orange net 5p 79 cent each. Pick up rosés such as La Petite Perrier from €8. And scan your Real Rewards card or app and get bold 2-in-1 57 watt selected range for €8. Make real summer savings at Super Value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
If you've got a smart meter, you should get an Electric Ireland smart meter plan too. Why? Because you can see a breakdown of your energy usage like never before. From heating, cooking, lighting and more. Now you can find out how much electricity you use by hour, day and type of appliance, making your usage clearer and your world brighter. Sign up to a smart meter plan at electricireland.ie. Smart meter required, T's and C's apply.
My home is my castle. My sing in the shower place or work in my undies place. My pizza for breakfast, cornflakes for dinner place. My home is my me place.
With AXA Home Insurance, you can protect the place where you can truly be yourself and get 24-hour emergency home assistance as standard. Get a quote online or call into your local branch. AXA. Know you can. Policy terms and conditions apply. AXA Insurance Stock is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenny's. Get set for summer with all new arrivals dropping every week, from fashion to footwear and homeware to cosmetics. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhennys.com today.
So, a sunny and warm day today. Highest temperatures of 20 to 22 degrees in a light to moderate easterly breeze. Now, I have in studio with me our very own Sinead Black, and you're bound to know Sinead from presenting here in Highland Radio, and also too from her own work as a performer. New album out as well, Sinead. So lots going on.
Very busy week.
That's good indeed. And with all that in mind, we appreciate you coming in to talk about something which I know you're really quite passionate about. And you've been, speaking about Darkness into Light. It's fundraising for Pieta House. And what is your concerns in that regard?
I suppose I just took to social media, Greg, over the weekend, awakening to all the lovely concept of people in our county and indeed our country gathering to spread hope and light and love around people who may have passed on from suicide or just around mental health in general. I feel like as a county we're very good at supporting
one another.
Absolutely. And for me personally, when I wake up to all those wonderful gestures and the lights of hope on the beach, I find it quite frustrating, because unfortunately I know from my own experience that the service that the people feel that they are supporting in the county, I didn't receive it. And I just highlighted that at the weekend on social media.
Because you have spoken before about, like we all have, I've had it myself, your struggles with mental health.
Yeah.
And, you'd be acutely aware too, Sinead, that sometimes it's difficult to reach out and sometimes you do. And some people, unfortunately, only do that once.
Absolutely. And this is that's the most thing I'm most passionate about. I was just saying to Caroline, it's minutes, and I suppose just in regards to Pieta House and services like that, they have a great potential to save lives and in those crucial minutes. And I just feel that I just want to bring awareness to the people of the county that they feel that they're doing all this good, and just sadly I didn't get an answer on the phone.
Talk to me as much as you're comfortable in doing so into where you were at And what happened when you picked up the phone?
Yeah, no problem at all talking about it, because thank God I'm out the other end, and I suppose that's why it's great to talk about it, because for anyone listening today, that they can be where I am now, thank God, in a great place.
Yes.
But sadly, I was not in a great place whatsoever. I remember being that low, Greg, and looking at my family and people around me and thinking that no one knows what to do here.
Mhm.
You know, I'm a burden. I'd be better away, because this is like, you know, what do we do next? And this is exactly what the services are for. Like that's the next step.
Were you outwardly like that, or were you like, you know, often it's like the tears of a clown, right? You know, you look great and happy and
Yeah.
everything going for you outwardly, but it's the internal struggle. Were you hiding how
I
you were feeling?
probably hit it. It ran along. I had a great successful year and a very fun year, and externally, but internally I'd say it was building up. And I suppose I reached a stage where it became external as well, that you could see it, you know. I had to take a little time to look after myself, and at the time I really didn't want to do that, because things were really moving for me within my career. But looking back now, I'm very glad I did. It was a great reset, and but yeah, my point being that in those minutes when I phoned the likes of Pieta House and there wasn't an answer, it was a very hopeless feeling. I felt very alone. And my point in being here today is I was lucky that I had my sister, and I genuinely mean that. I have no doubt that I wouldn't be here without her, and thankfully finding a great counsellor who spoke to me in the middle of the night. And
See, the thing is, you see, you can tell this story,
yeah,
right? But what we can't determine or put a figure on is the amount of people that didn't have your sister.
that's what I said to my friend this morning. I was like, I'm going to speak for the people who can't, and who
they don't have a voice, and perhaps never will, because their story goes untold.
Yeah.
You know, and that could be for a myriad of reasons. In your instance, it's because you did do the right thing at that time in a desperate situation, an emergency, really. Would you call it an emergency?
Absolutely. I was lying on my floor, not wanting to be here anymore. Like, I can't highlight how awful it was. And I'm sure that there is people who will reach that stage. And it's very frustrating for me that we have so much power and so much potential to be doing better. And the services can be doing better. And
Pieta House is an interesting one, because given the position I'm in, people contact me about certain stuff, Sinead, and unfortunately I've heard this quite a few times about this one particular service. And, you know, there's so much joy, as you mentioned, and so much outpouring of love and hope over darkness into light. But at the same time, too, I feel I have a loyalty to the people who've had issues accessing the service, or the follow-up of being told, you know, we don't have this or we don't have that. And I suppose when something's so so roundly positively spoken of, it's hard to put your head above the parapet. But at the same time, we kind of have an obligation to sort of have the quiet conversations out loud sometimes too. So did you ever have any interaction? Was it one call that went unanswered, or is there more to it?
It's funny you say that, because so many people told me to not speak today. But I'm not sitting here to give out. I'm trying to make a change, trying to make a positive change. You know, if I could take anything to bring awareness that the services that I think the Donegal people, I have no doubt, like even my friends are like, oh my God, Sinead, only you put that up. Like, what do you mean the services aren't there? They're just simply not there, or they're not there in the correct way. And I feel like they could be adjusted. Even from my own personal service, I feel like I could say, you know, they're not open on Saturdays and Sundays. The highest suicide rates are on a Sunday morning and a Monday.
But do people know that? It's like when I was at the circus recently, and what are you smiling at?
Okay.
No, I was at the circus.
They didn't keep you,
recently.
no?
No, they didn't. They had a clown there already. Although I've heard that joke before on Facebook. No, but you know, there's a few bits in it where there's someone on a trapeze, right, and they're really high up, and they're swinging backwards and forwards, and they have as you would know, they have a safety harness on at the back, and they do that every single time, because they may never ever fall off, right? But the time that they might, the safety harness is there, and they're assured that it's always there.
Yeah.
My concern is that we go through our life with this safety harness attached to us, thinking that stuff is there, but it's not when that one time that we need it. You know what I mean? And that's my concern. We need faith and trust in services, and we need to know that they're there when they're needed most.
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of, albeit a long-winded analogy, that's kind of what you're talking about here is, you needed it at that time and you couldn't get it, and we don't want that to happen to other people.
I phoned 6 times.
Yeah. And
it was unanswered. And, I'm glad to be here, and thank God I am. But I want people to walk an easy path and not walk the hard path that I had to walk. And, these services could adjust what they're doing to do that.
So when you talk about that a little bit more, are you saying that to ensure the phones are answered? Like, did you reach an answering machine?
I reached an answering machine, and to be honest, I got answered once, but how do I explain it? The way that I can explain it is, it's as if you rang A&E or 999 and said, I'm having a heart attack and I need help. So when I spoke to whoever I spoke to, are you sure you're suicidal? Are you having suicidal ideation? And I was just thinking to myself, I've picked up this phone, we'll give you an assessment and you'll get an appointment, I would say in around 2 weeks.
So what do you mean by an assessment? Is that like on the phone right now?
I'm not sure, because I got my own profession. I went a different path.
Yeah, but in that moment,
No.
was it a case that there was no emergency intervention? It was like, well, call in, we'll have an assessment and see if we can.
So I was transferred, which I was told was going to be a counsellor, and I actually got transferred back to the switchboard. So it was a very hopeless phone call. But that's the only way for people listening who may not have ever had to avail of the service. If you phoned an ambulance and were having a heart attack, you wouldn't be told, come back next Tuesday. It's the crucial moments for me, Greg, that I want to highlight. Like, it's crucial moments. It's one crucial phone call that can save a life.
Yeah, and I think I've said it in this interview, and I've said it before. We push and push and push, and everyone, listen, even if it's me you call, I don't care. Call someone and you have to make that call. But for some people, there's one call in them.
Yeah.
And we just there's one appearance at the ED. And we have to make sure that people...
If these services were, did adjust, to maybe Saturdays and Sundays, and did offer that you can approach Pieta House or approach whatever service we're talking about at that time, I think it would take a bit of pressure off our emergency departments. I've been there too, probably, and I didn't know where to go. So I feel that if we had an organisation or a government body that you knew where to go in these moments, that it would. So
I'm on the Pieta website now. We're not having a go, right? But we have to speak about the facts. And it says there's a 24-hour free crisis helpline. Now, you were in a crisis. And it says our 24-hour free phone crisis helpline is managed by qualified and professional therapists. So that's a statement. There's no reference to what hours. There's no reference to Monday to Friday. There's no reference to it's all of the time. 24-hour free phone crisis helpline. But you've rang that and you didn't get that help.
There was no answer. Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, part of this all of this conversation is not a case of don't ring Pieta. Sinead's not saying that for a second.
I
Sinead
feel like they have
that,
such potential to do amazing work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we can't not talk about these things either. There's also an issue too about the payment structure in
I think
Pieta
for me
as
it's
well.
just the structure and the management, and the management of the practice, or whatever you would want to call it, management of the service just concerns me. But like that, that they brought in 4 million last year, and I'm sure there was a lot this year through the walk alone, that could be doing they could be doing great efforts and providing a great service. So I suppose if anyone within Pieta hears this today, that I'm not giving out, I'm just addressing my own personal experience in the hope that they might adjust it to save someone else.
Freely, exactly.
Yeah.
Stay with me just till after 11. We've another person joining us after 11, do we, Caroline? So stay there. I mean, listen, if you've had very positive experiences with Pieta, please feel free to text us. If you can relate to what Sinead is saying, or someone close to you, please feel free to get in touch with us. It's 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text number. Give us a call on 074 91 25,000. Of course, says, well done, Sinead. People know and feel exactly the same. People they know, I believe. Sinead, thank you for speaking out and being truthful. That comes in for Josephine. Pieta helped me so much. Please don't hesitate to ring them. Don't, indeed. And they've got therapists as well, and you can start a therapy journey with them, but this is an issue with the crisis helpline, and if there are issues that need to be resolved, well, then we need to talk about it here too. Right, we'll be back with more, and Sinead's going to stay with us and another guest after we take a break, and then the news.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from 40,000 to 600,000 euro with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
We're serving up summer at Dunnes Stores. Fire up the grill with 3 for €10 on a range of meat and fish, like succulent ribs, chicken, flaky salmon, and jumbo Irish pork sausages. Served in fresh buns, pittas, and wraps. Mix and match 2 for €2.30. And a range of delicious sauces from €1.75. Plus, you can save at the till with a €10.50 grocery voucher. Dunnes Stores. Always better value. Terms and conditions apply. Voucher can be used on next grocery shop of €50 or more.
Monster Bingo every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel. €3,300 must go with €1,000 on the last page. Doors open 7:30. Bingo starts at 8:30. That's Monster Bingo this and every Tuesday night at Mulroy Woods Hotel, Milford.
Are you looking for a powerful, high-performance laptop? Think green and save big with Ben Sweeney Euronics. Discover refurbished Lenovo ThinkPads that look and feel like new with Windows 11 pre-installed and a rock-solid 3-year warranty for total peace of mind. Why pay full price when you can save up to 70% and do your part for the planet by choosing sustainable tech? Find yours today at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, and the shopping centre, Dunlow.
Ours to Protect is back, and this time the kids are in charge. Highland Radio and Commission Man are joining forces once again to dive into the future of our planet, and the brilliant young minds of Donegal are leading the way. So join me, Donna Marie Doherty, after the 8 p.m. news on Wednesday the 14th of May, because it's Ours to Protect!
Ours to Protect is funded by Commission the Man with the television licence fee and is a partnership between Highland Radio and the Independent Broadcasters of Ireland.
With all the stories that matter across the Northwest, it's Greg Hughes on the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio.
It is 11 o'clock, time for a news update, and we cross over now to Donna Marie Doherty.
Thanks, Greg. Good morning. The Housing Minister left Donegal wiser yesterday evening, according to a 100% Redress Party councillor. Councillor Ali Farron was part of 2 meetings with Minister James Brown. Councillor Farron says 2 commitments were made by the Minister yesterday, and that was a commitment to listen and a commitment to come back. He told Greg Hughes it was a step in the right direction. Donegal County Council's Economic Development Strategic Policy Committee has been told that there's tough decisions to be made on rates, particularly in terms of how reliefs are offered to businesses. The SPC has now begun a process of discussing how to approach the issue of rates with a view towards bringing an agreed position to the full council later in the year. SPC Chair Councillor Park McGarvey says there's a balancing act that needs to be achieved. Over €22,000 has been raised to help cover the funeral costs of the 2 teenagers who died after getting into difficulty in Lochswilly. It's understood that 16-year-old Emmanuel Familola and 18-year-old Matt Sibanda were trying to retrieve their ball that had entered the water in Buncrana. Matt passed away at the scene, while Emmanuel later passed away in hospital. GoFundMe organiser Ruth Garvey-Williams of Insight Inishowen says the support of the boys' mothers is overwhelming. A dangerous driving incident in Fawn was reported after a near miss on Friday last. A red A-class Mercedes was overtaking dangerously at around 9:15, forcing the oncoming traffic to drive onto the grass verge to avoid a collision. Gardaí are particularly interested in sourcing dashcam footage from the Burnfoot area around that time. A man was assaulted on Lower Main Street, Letterkenny yesterday evening at around 8:20. Gardaí are investigating the incident in which the man was kicked on the head by another man while he was on the ground. The injuries sustained are believed to be non-life-threatening in nature, and those with information are urged to get in touch with the Gardaí. That's all for now from the news desk. Back with more at 12 noon.
Thank you, Donna Marie.
Aidan's just missed the ice cream van and can hear the song fade into the distance. But it's no bother, as Mam stocked up for summer with Aldi's specially selected luxury Irish ice cream. Madagascan vanilla for only $2.99. He's also been treated to delicious 100% Irish fresh strawberries. Ooh! New season, Board Bia quality assured, and only $2.65. The ice cream van's nothing but a distant memory. Good food, good mood from Aldi, while stocks last.
You're welcome back to the programme. I'm still in the company of our own Sinead Black here. We're talking about Sinead's personal experience of when she was at a crisis point with her mental health and picked up the phone to Pieta House. And unfortunately, that call went unanswered. And Sinead, as she said before 11 o'clock, was very lucky to have her sister who was there to intervene, and then continued her journey back to good mental health, which is where you're at now, which is good. And both I and Sinead particularly are very keen to point out the fact that if this type of a conversation is, worsening your mental mood, or if you already are in a mentally low place, it is very important that you ring. Be it Pieta House or the Samaritans or the numerous other services that are available. This is not about discouraging people. This is about ensuring that the services that are provided are as good as are humanly possible. I'm going to be joined by another guest in a moment, but Sinead, I just wanted to ask what the reaction has been since you put this post out on social media, which in and of itself was a brave enough step, particularly given the weekend that was in it.
Yeah, I felt that I could not let it pass. I've had hundreds of messages since, and I just want to highlight that and for anyone listening, I didn't want to be given out. My main goal was just to make everyone aware of God. If this good and this energy and the concept of the walk is beautiful, gathering together, in the Northwest, we're fabulous at doing that, but I just feel the input wasn't matching, the output that I, on the other end of services, wasn't receiving, and that frustrated. And when I did put that post off, hundreds of people wrote to me saying, Sinead, I'm so glad you said that, because I felt the same. And in particular, we talk about it a lot, that young people, young mental health, and it hasn't been an easy world to grow up in. You're handed a phone at 2 years of age now. Years ago you had fields and nature, and it was a slightly more easier place to grow up in. But I just want to speak to older people as well, because within those hundreds of messages, I received a message from a lady who was maybe in her 70s, who had attempted suicide twice and is finding it very, very difficult, and feels that she's too old and nearly not worthy. And by God, did I soon tell her different. And we're hoping to have tea soon. But the services.
So she needed to hear her importance and her value.
Absolutely.
Because I think that's what people don't realise sometimes. And you know what? Maybe there just isn't the mental capacity at a given time to realise that. But people are so blooming important, and we'd all move heaven and earth to sort of bring someone back from the brink if we could. We just need to know about it, and then we can do it. And there's a serious mental health issue in guys in their 40s and 50s as well.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many different demographics outside of what you might, if you weren't affected by this, presume is the situation. Stay there, Sinead. Okay. Mark McCollum has some thoughts on Darkness into Light and joins us as well. Good morning, Mark.
Hi, Greg. Hi, Sinead. How are you?
Good, Mark. Good.
Good. Yeah, I wrote a piece as well over the weekend, and like everybody else, I found my social media feed on Saturday flooded with yellow and dawn pictures, and which is wonderful. As Sinead said, it's brilliant, and it sort of builds solidarity, and it's the imagery of the Sun Walk and the social media hashtag. But I just felt like if we were actually serious about mental health care, we need to treat it as a public health issue and fund it from public funding, as opposed to relying on charities to pick up the slack. I'm not anti Pieta House. I'm not. They pay a critical service, and they do save lives. But when a society chooses to outsource the most profound vulnerabilities like suicide and self-harm or mental despair to the voluntary sector, exposes something deeper, a moral and political failure. Ireland just spends over 5.3% of its health budget in mental health, way well below the EU average. And this underinvestment has created a vacuum that's filled by the charities that are operating like private businesses, competing for donations, investing in branding, and paying their CEOs corporate level salaries. The person on the end of the phone and the volunteer counsellor is struggling on the front line. But this model, to me, it looks and thrives on symbolism. The darkness into light is an absolute masterclass of an emotional marketing. Thousands walk at dawn, and everybody's Instagram and Facebook is filled with images. But the thing that I look at is what happens after the sunrise. Like for many, in the darkest hour, the promised light never appears. My own mum was in that situation. Like I made the call similar to Sinead, and didn't get supported in any way at all. And again, she was a woman in her 70s who was in emotional distress. And we have to be able to take mental health support seriously.
The only thing is Mark, and I don't disagree with you, but in terms of support for people with autism or support with people with child mental health issues, these things are formed because the vacuums that are there are never filled. So whilst we should strive for all of this stuff to be done by the state, that's not happening. So something has to be there to fill the gap, doesn't it?
The challenge, as you said, the charities are filling that gap, and they're doing the best they can. But as a society, we should be looking at what's causing people to be in situations of emotional crisis. We look at but we have a tendency to see it through the prism of the medical model. We look at people as something wrong with the individual, as opposed to the actual fact that somebody is in a situation of poverty, situation of unemployment, situation of poor relationship, or poor housing. These are the things. So there's situational and environmental factors that aren't really taken into diagnostic criteria. We're very quick to point to the failings within the individual, but we're not looking at what's causing the problem.
And if I'm reading what you're saying, and I agree with you, that are you saying, Mark, and you say it quite clearly, but I haven't had an opportunity to read all of your article, that in some way darkness into light and partaking in it makes us feel like we're doing something and a problem is being fixed, when in reality it's not really that simple, and therefore the public feel that the need is met.
What we're doing through Darkness into Light, and it has a role, is raising awareness and making people aware of the fact that every year 500 people on average die through suicide. But I think the problem is, if we're just raising awareness and not actually dealing with the systemic causes or the systemic treating it properly, we're just going to keep going around in circles. We're raising awareness, but nothing changes.
And the slight issue that I would have, to be honest with you, is recent figures that suggest that suicide has fallen by 20% in the last 10 years now, unless we have a particular problem in this county. And unfortunately, policy and spend from a government perspective is governed by those figures. And if you're saying, okay, what we're doing now is working because there's been a significant drop in those dying by suicide, that concerns me.
But there's still on average over the last several years, it's circa 500 deaths a year. Unnecessary. And these are people that are impacted. They're lost to their families, to themselves, to the communities, and the devastation of families and trying to come to terms with what's happened. And that's not counting even the number of people that have attempted or attempt suicide. Or feeling that they have suicidal ideation, that they're in that state of despair. Right. One of the things I would sort of suggest is looking at, in terms of road deaths, we set up the Road Safety Authority. There should be a similar body for suicide prevention, a national sort of body looking at it, looking at research, international research, looking at models of practice and how that can be rolled out throughout the country. The willingness was there to tackle road deaths. Why is the same willingness not there to tackle the 500 deaths that are occurring a year through suicide?
I do think in terms of safety at sea, in terms of safety on the roads, I do believe that someone believes the resources are being spent to talk of what you're doing. I really don't think they've got the messaging right or the delivery correct in relation to that, Mark. And that's just my own personal opinion. we keep talking, we keep using the same language and talking the same way about mental health and suicide prevention, and I just don't think we've really figured out an effective way to communicate it.
It's a very hard path.
Go ahead,
And
sorry, Tim.
sorry, Mark, I just want to come in there, but my point is it's a very, very hard path, and you're already on a very hard path. It's a very difficult road, and I would just like to slightly make it easy. I agree with you that the government should form a body. Absolutely, that's the end goal, but that is not going to be today or tomorrow. We all know that. I actually met with the Minister for Health completely by mistake when she was here. I was out for a walk with my hair in a bun and God knows what else. I didn't even know it was a lady. They said, Sinead, will you speak to the Minister for Health? I said, yeah, where is he? But I got speaking to her, and we had a very serious talk, and I actually made contact with her yesterday as well, and I don't intend to drop it anytime soon either. But my point is, in the meantime, here is an example, and I'm only using Pieta as an example.
Well, just stay there a second, Mark. I'll let you go. Mark, thanks very much for your contribution. I do appreciate it. I know you've probably got things to do. Before you get to that, I just want to, because we've referenced the charity and all that, and this is not having to go at Pieta House, but Pieta House has a lot of paid staff. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's only fair to other charities where it's all done sort of voluntarily. So you have a psychotherapist. They employ 16 on €31 an hour. Therapists, 6 of those on 59 grand a year. Philanthropy manager is on 45 grand a year. There's 5 of those philanthropy managers. Fundraising managers, there's 4 of those. Each on 59 grand each. So say 460, so 240. So they have to raise €240,000 before they cover the wages of the fundraising managers. Operations manager and 65,000 a year. There's 3 salaries reported at that. Are these jobs available? Sorry, no, these are average salaries. But anyway, those are the average salaries. I'll come back to the actual specific numbers from Pieta House directly myself. But my point being is that these are sort of well-funded positions. There might only be one fund manager. I'll get back to that in a sec. Just a couple more comments, Sinead, as well. Before I want to come back to you and finish the way you want to finish. My daughter rang Pieta repeatedly a few weeks ago. I'm not quite sure when the timeline's missing. There was no reply. They never called back. She presented at casualties suicidal, and that was a disastrous experience. We have a serious problem with mental health experts being on site at EDs as well. And unfortunately, Letterkenny University Hospital was identified as one of those. Hi, Greg. I want to commend Sinead for speaking up. Such a brave lady. Unfortunately, her story resonates with me. Our experience as a family was the exact same. Absolutely no help from Pieta. That when we were in total crisis, and since that, have never felt the need to donate to that charity because of our terrible experience. I agree it has potential, and it's such a shame it's not being run properly, in this listener's opinion. We donate to Jigsaw and Gemma's Legacy of Hope instead. Thank you, Sinead. Another, I've been to many dances with Sinead and her father performing. I never would have imagined what she was going through. For anyone going through the same, there's always someone to listen to. It's so important to reach out. Fair play to Sinead for speaking this morning. I'll do another couple, will I?
Go for it.
Well done, Sinead, for highlighting a scandal that's been going on for decades, not just in this country, but worldwide. In Ireland alone, there are at least a dozen charities where bosses receive €100,000 plus salaries, while only 5% raised goes to the charity. Those figures don't apply to Pieta, but I understand where you're coming from. I'm sorry Sinead had a bad experience with Pieta. I know people who have got much needed help. I'm sure Pieta and any other mental health charities are doing the very best they can to help as many people they can. It's terrible that we have to raise money in the first place for mental health charities to help people when our government should be putting more money into these services. Ring these services, please. The services are there. Pieta will likely answer the phone and offer you support, and I'm sure there are many, many people that have had a very successful experience. But Sinead is amongst a lot of people that I know that the phone simply wasn't answered. And I'm not going to forget or not give Sinead the platform she deserves, or I'm not going to forget the other people that have contacted us, because for the most part, the service is good, right? Because that would be leaving those people behind, Sinead, and we can't do that either. So you're saying, I'm not putting words in your mouth, the service is there, it's a good service, there's it's a service that could be improved. There's opportunities there. Just recap what you were saying before 11.
Joan Freeman, I feel like we're quite similar. If we could move mountains, we would. She just did before me. I intend to as well, but I think she's seen a gap, and I think, like me today, she was like, right, okay, if the government isn't going to fund me. I listened to a podcast recently. She considered remortgaging her house just to open Pieta House. If she didn't, I'm nearly sure she might have done that. So I have no doubt that the model of Pieta House was fabulous. She has since left, and I feel the mission and the main concept of it has slightly changed. And my main point for speaking out today, that is everyone gathering and all the energy and the amazing potential that it has is still there. I would just like it to be adjusted and shake a few feathers today to maybe see if we can get that done. I feel if I had 4 million, like 4 million, Greg, is over 67,000. I don't know, I'm not that good at math, but it's sure a hell of a lot of counselling sessions.
Hours, yeah.
You know, so I'm not here to run them down. I just feel like it has got a bit stale. The money isn't being invested in the way that it should be, and for our people who are out doing that for the county, it's not really good enough, but it could become better, and I hope that it does. And
that the symbolism, the amazing symbolism from the weekend, is not papering over cracks. In other words, that we ensure that the public and what they have done, that their efforts and what they perhaps believe is being done is actually being done.
Yeah.
And their efforts are being rewarded.
Yeah, and I commend the community. I'm not running them down for anyone who took part in the walk. I feel like there's a great concept there. And for anyone, I'm not also saying that there is no services and you're not alone. And I want to highlight that, because so many times I felt like I really was. Like I really felt alone. You're not alone. It's just a slightly harder path, unfortunately. And I'd urge you to, keep with it as best as you can. For anyone listening who's not suffering, to just be kind. Like you heard that lady saying, I would have never thought Sinead was going through that, for sure. I have no doubt that everybody listening is going through their own little thing in their own way. So this is an opportunity to remind people to be kind, and all in the meantime.
Why have we lost our kindness a little bit?
Life's just got very busy.
Not as like there's an awful lot of kindness out there. But I know there's people just couldn't wait to get the phone out and tell me and you that we're a pair of assholes.
I feel life's got very busy.
Even on an issue as sort of important as this, like I've seen, in terms of recent tragedies in this county, the vile language. People are entitled to their opinions on certain things, but the vile language and hate and lack of compassion, like we really need to. We're going to be banjaxed as a society if we don't get that back. We have it for the most part, but if we lose that, Sinead, that's as far as I'm concerned, that's humanity.
I think we've lost a lot of human connection. And I blame social media a lot for that, sadly, as much as I use it and as much as we all use it for our own lives. But we've lost a lot of human connection. And, in them crucial moments, that's really all that I needed, was that human connection, to hear, for somebody to answer that phone. And because that's, when I think back, Greg, that's what I got. I got a counsellor in Derry, and thank the Lord for him, to tell me, Sinead, whatever you're going through now is thoughts and feelings. It's going to be okay. And it was okay.
Yep. So just to recap, because there's people getting hope from this as well. I think mums and dads, maybe, particularly with daughters that are in a low place.
It's very hard to be a family member, absolutely.
Yeah, that you get in touch with the right people. Firstly, you have to, reach out, recognise there's an issue there, but there is a pathway back.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing about mental health that, generally speaking, is the experts there, and with time that you can get your life back to where you can enjoy and be happy again. And you've done that from your lowest ebb, lying on your bedroom floor with the phone in your hand.
Yeah.
To
it took me a long time to go even.
Your album and you're in here talking about it.
It took me a long time to go back into Dunnes Stores again. Whereas.
What were you doing in Dunnes Stores?
Shopping.
Oh, is that why?
No, I mean, like I couldn't even go into my local. I couldn't even go into my local shop for a while, but
I understand.
Here I am now.
In the drapery department. No, okay.
And life
that
was
great. Part of your getting back to yourself.
Yeah,
it's one of the wee milestones, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very funny. But life is great now, and it can be for you as well. I urge someone though, I did have to accept help.
Yeah.
And that is a part of it. You do have to accept help. You have to look for it. And just for anyone from around someone, like, just to be a little bit kinder. And my goal is to make the path slightly easier. So we will try to move mountains to do that.
Yeah, and often people make the mental physical analogy, and it's an obvious one. God forbid if I took a pain in my head right now and the left side of my face dropped, God forbid, I hate even thinking about that, right? But say it did, I would be taken down to Letterkenny University Hospital and I would go straight through the ED into potentially the stroke unit.
Yeah.
And
I can get in.
They give me, you know, the clot busters or whatever, and then start. So instantly in that crisis, there's a process. Unfortunately, you present suicidal. In other words, in imminent danger of taking your own life.
Yeah.
And this is not down to the staff; it's down to the structures. Those same facilities, you know, that we don't have that pathway as simply as we've just outlined.
Even GPs, Greg, and you know, they there's just a lack of education of what to do in these scenarios, and hopefully we can change that. I can actually get a nail appointment quicker than I can see somebody when I felt suicidal, and that's not okay.
No. But you're feeling better now, and
I have to work hard on myself.
Yeah,
you know, you have to do the work, but I feel great, and I'm surrounded by great people, and life is good.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And the new album's out now.
I haven't recovered from celebrating from Donegal winning all weekend. I'm not going to lie now. So
really,
yeah. So
it was a good weekend.
It was a great weekend. It's been a great week for me and for anyone listening. I hope that life becomes great for them shortly too.
When are you back on air?
Tonight. It's today Tuesday, isn't it?
Tuesday, yeah. God, you really are in recovery from
I'm not
the weekend,
joking, Greg. I'm on air tonight, but thank you very much for having me.
No problem, thank you. And just to let you know of some helplines, because it really, really is critical that you reach out and have a conversation. You wouldn't believe the amount of people I've talked to that initial contact has begun a journey of recovery. And instantly, in and of itself, has relieved a burden, because it can be a burden when you feel so desperate. Aware is there, 1-800 80 48 48. The Samaritans, 116 123. There are options for children as well. Childline, 1-800 666666. Maybe you want to contact Women's Aid, 1-800 341 900. Pieta is there as well, 1-800 247 247 on their own website. They say they are there, and they will answer the phones, and hopefully your experience would not be the same as Sinead's and others. We're not discouraging anyone, but Sinead is perfectly within her rights as a service user to say, look, this is life and death potentially. And if there are gaps in service, at least let us know so we can get it out there, or close those gaps, or find a way of making the service that safety line that you presume is there, and it has to be there just at that moment when you need it. Back with more shortly.
The county's #1 talk show, The 9 till Noon Show on Highland Radio. The 9 till Noon Show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Hi, Paddy here at Shane Conley Cars in Donegal Town. Are you looking to upgrade your car? With Shane Conley Cars, you'll find makes and models for every budget. Great finance options, and we also accept trade-ins. Check out ShaneConleyCars.com or call in to us at Shane Conley Cars from Lonaher Road, Donegal Town.
Hoka, the brand that has changed running shoes at Brian McCormick Sports. The ultra-cushioned game changer, Bondi 9, will give you a soft and bouncy transition from heel to toe. Enjoy the increased stack height with a new premium midsole. Look the part, play the part. In-store and online. Click on bmcsports.ie.
Just wanted to sort me and my friends out for a party. I only owed a few quid at first.
I have to look after my granddaughter. What will happen if I don't pay?
Thought I'd be safe at home, but they found out where I live.
Drug-related intimidation and violence can happen to anyone. There is help available. Go to driveproject.ie to find safe and confidential services and supports in your local area. Supported by the Government of
Ireland. Indulge yourself with friends or a loved one at the Spa at Orchids
at the Holyrood Hotel in Bundoran. A midweek or weekend spa break is the perfect way to escape from life for a while. Take a leisurely walk along the Atlantic coast. Enjoy a dip in our private pool, a plunge in our Canadian hot tub, and treatments of your choice before dining in one of the Holyrood Hotel's acclaimed restaurants. The Spa at Orchids. Book now at holyroodhotel.com.
Highland Radio Time Checks brought to you by EirGrid, the operator and developer of Ireland's electricity grid. EirGrid, powering up communities, powering up Ireland. The time is?
The time is 27 minutes past 11. Our next guest with us shortly.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
That's the Clear Mobile Parrot. He knows a good thing when he hears it, because it's only $12.99. Yes, only $12.99 for unlimited 5G data and calls. Yes, there are texts, and that's why he's our top salesperson at Parrot. $12.99. Clear Mobile. Keep it clear. Powered by Vodafone. $12.99. Activation fee €12.99. 19 gigabytes UK and EU roaming data. For terms, see clearmobile.ie/terms.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system, and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Making the move away from diesel? Don't get confused. Get excited at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Experience the power of choice. From our unrivaled hybrid range with no plugging in, to plug-in hybrids and the fully electric BZ4X, we have the right car for you. With incredible offers, including power-up boosters of up to €2,500, make the move at Kelly's Toyota Letterkenny and Mount Charles. Toyota, built for a better world. T's and C's apply.
Get your home and garden summer ready with Watson Hire in Letterkenny. From lawnmowers to strimmers and compost to lawnmowers, they have everything you need to tidy, clean and green your space. If you're painting, inside or out, choose the best value paint in Donegal from top names like Fleetwood and Johnson's. Watson Hire, open 6 days a week at Lisnen and Letterkenny, with great deals to have your home and garden looking their best. See watsonhire.ie.
Now, there's an interesting event coming up in the Silver Tassie Hotel on the 19th of May 2025. It runs between 10 a.m. And 1 p.m. with the aim of empowering salon professionals, understanding domestic violence, coercive control and addiction, and how you can help. And I'm joined in studio by a number of guests. Dr. Marie Hainsworth, always lovely to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Greg. Good to be here.
We are also with Inspector Siobhan Molahan.
Yes,
Molahan, yes, I was there. I knew it, but then I went to say it and I doubted myself. Thanks for calling up, Inspector. And Donna McGee, HSE Addiction Services Lead. Thank you so much, Donna.
No problem, Greg.
This is an interesting initiative, and I think something similar has been operating in Australia for quite some time along these lines, right? That's just me saying that, not you. But what is the purpose of this event, and I suppose who's it for?
I suppose, really, Greg, we have aimed it at salon professionals, but really it's kind of for anybody working with people. Both Marie, Siobhan and myself have done a number of initiatives together. So the HSE and Garda Síochána and Donegal Domestic Violence Services have worked together for a long time, looking at where there's gaps and trying to see how can we respond to these. And it was something that we all had been talking about, that salon professionals, a lot of the time it's like a confessional box. They know what goes on with their clients, and a lot of times they would say, you know, we really want to try and help and signpost people, but we want to make sure we're doing it correctly and we're doing the right thing. So what we have on the 19th, we've done it on a Monday, which we know a lot of salons close on a Monday at 10 to 1, so it's within school hours, and it's open to everybody. It's free, and what we want to do is we have a wonderful lady coming to tell her story. So we have somebody with lived experience who's overcame it coming to talk about her own experience, and then we'll talk about all our supports available and how you can signpost because I suppose it's very important for people to get the right advice. And also what we've developed is a thing like this, which has a QR code, a small one, linked to all our services, that we're going to give all the salon professionals stickers for their mirrors and a resource, a booklet, so that they'll have something to take away, resources for their salon.
Yeah, because sometimes, people can be so controlling that might just be the moment someone has to themselves to reach out or inquire on something. And, not everyone says everything directly either, Donna. Sometimes they're tells, and I presume that will form part of the sort of the education on the 19th of May. What might someone say and what's the appropriate way to react? Because sometimes we don't say or do something because we don't know what the right thing to do is.
Absolutely. And you think, so I won't say anything, or it's not my place to give advice. So, but then I know from friends of mine who are involved in the area, and we all know people then carry that and they worry about their clients because it's a very close trust and relationship. So we want to, as part of our day, we're going to have a question and answer session that people will be able to say, if I do come across this situation, or I just get a feeling somebody's walking on eggshells, or there's something to be concerned about, how can we support? And I suppose as well from the addiction side as well as offering advice on if you're working with someone who is experiencing addiction, we'll also show how to signpost if you have a family member in addiction and they're not willing to accept support, you can still get support for yourself. So
as I mentioned, Dr. Marie Hainsworth, manager of the Donegal Domestic Violence Services, with us. None of the things we talk about, Marie, and we talk on a regular basis, are the fix-all, right? But it's just another layer, isn't it? It's another step in the right direction.
It is, and I think it's part of our overall Safe to Call programme that we're trying to roll out within the community, where a lot of community projects have said, what can we do to help? We don't want to be on the front line. We don't want to be listening to kind of major stories, but we do want to be able to offer support and know where for people to go. So we've been doing work with community projects. That you mentioned the Australian model there. I think we poached this one from Northern Ireland. They'd done work, the Guards and the Domestic Violence Service, certainly in Fermanagh, had done work, and we had worked then with the Fermanagh project.
Because the government has agreed to do this in 5 or 6 different places in Ireland, but it's funded and stuff, right? So I think that's where I was there's a bit of a crossover here, but it's all in the right place. Sorry, Marie.
Yeah, because I know Women's Aid have done work with salons, but again, it's all right giving people a phone number, but you know yourself, there's a staff turnover, people move on. So training that's done 2 years down the line, it's out of date, or the people that had it have moved on into other places. So it kind of needs to be done on a regular basis. And I think it's about getting communication, getting conversations going in the community, people being confident, just knowing that there's a service out there. That's all we're asking, really. That's the message. Look, there are people you can talk to. Why don't you have a conversation there? And just not closing down any kind of opening where somebody might be a bit vulnerable, and not kind of just ignoring them, but just saying, look, I hear what you're saying. I don't know much about it, but look, here's the service. I know about them. Give them a ring.
It's really quite interesting because I'm sure there are people who use that opportunity in the chair or whatever to sort of say, oh, he's such and such, or such and such is happening. And with the best will in the world, the person working with them might go, that's terrible. But there's something else they can say. Maybe that's that person sort of opening the door to, will you endorse what I've just said, and maybe can you help me, can you direct me somewhere that I might be able to get further help?
Yeah, particularly if the same client's coming in week after week or month after month, and it's the same kind of story, or you're hearing the same thing. It's kind of like, you've said this a lot now, would you like to talk to some, what about talking to somebody else? I don't know too much. I know we've had referrals directly from salons, but usually that's been a moment of crisis where a client has broken down, has been, completely distraught. And, we've had a service manager, a salon manager phone us up and say, look, I really don't know what to do. Can somebody come out and support?
Wow.
But we're not actually looking at that extreme level. We're trying to kind of get there a little bit beforehand.
Siobhan, important. Obviously, this is an area the An Garda Síochána are very active with, and I think particularly here in Donegal, and we've got the Go Purple Day, which is coming up as well. We heard a little earlier on about that. It's all part of the same story and the same messaging, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Domestic abuse, it is an organisational priority for An Garda Síochána, and this Friday, I know my colleague Niall was in with you earlier, we have Go Purple Day, and our community guards and members of DPSU, the Divisional Protective Services Unit, will be calling to the salons and giving out information about the event on Monday, but just general information as well on supports and how to help people. I suppose from our point of view on Monday, we will be looking at telling people what is domestic abuse and what is coercive control, and explaining the indicators so they know what to look out for. Domestic abuse, by its very nature, people can feel very isolated, and they're so isolated that maybe that's the only opportunity that they have to talk to somebody, or when they're in a salon, they have built up years of trust in the relationship there. It can be very hard to reach out to the guards or to even the support services, and they will maybe disclose to their salon professional, and it's just to help them to listen and to support and what they can do. And that mightn't necessarily be a direct intervention, but just to give them the advice. We'll talk about the supports on Monday and court orders and what's available, and from my point of view, indicators of high risk and indications that there is abuse going on.
Yeah, and an important part of it too is actually letting people know locally what resources are available locally. And I never really thought about that. I mean, how would you know unless maybe you've engaged with them, or you do a lot of your own research, right? But maybe not everybody who works in these areas actually knows what resources are there. So that in itself makes it a really valuable exercise, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I suppose the QR code and the sticker for the salons will be very helpful. But even just to sit and listen to hear what is available for people, the supports, but definitely in relation to courts and, advice, and that if there is an emergency to always ring 999 or 112. And if it's not an emergency situation and they have time for victims to come to the Garda station and ask to speak in private with a Garda and explain, and we will listen, we are there to help.
Yeah, indeed. And as I said before, I think it's really important to know how to handle a situation. And with that in mind, Donna, and it's up to each business owner to make their own calls, of course. But I mean, if a salon owner, or a barbershop owner is listening to this, because it can be fellas as well as women, of course, right? Maybe they should say, I heard this on the radio, and encourage their staff to take part.
Absolutely.
Because I think it's good growth for their employees, isn't it?
We would love that, and we would love if you would share it in your Facebook page and your platform, Greg, because it's open to everybody, and we want the biggest crowd we can get at it, and if we need to replicate it again, we'll do that, because we think it's such an important area. Those that work in hair salons and barbers, or even holistic therapies, they have the trust of their customers, as Marie was saying, and we know that they know them, and they see if people are a bit different to how they used to be, and they're worried about them. So it will be great. We'll be able to learn from them as well, but we'll have staff there on the day to talk to people if somebody is a bit worried about someone, that they'll be able to say, can I run something by you as well? So it's open to everybody who has an interest in coming, and we'd be delighted for the biggest crowd we can get.
Yeah, for sure. Because, Marie, I'm sure too, I'm not trying to, randomly pick things out, but just having this conversation, you think of people maybe in the masseur industry or the hair industry, they might notice where a clump of hair is gone, or where there's a bruise or stuff, and it must be difficult not to know what to do in that situation. Here's an opportunity to sort of, if that does happen, and God forbid it doesn't, but unfortunately we know it does, how to maybe approach that.
Yeah, and the other area, it's not just, it's salon professionals in the broader sense, so it's nail technicians.
Yeah, anyone who has...
And oftentimes, when abuse occurs, they're the kind of patterns of behaviour that people might drop off, so clients may not suddenly have been around for a while. And it's not just clients directly, but it could be mothers of clients, it could be other relatives, or it could be family and friends, and they might be disclosing stuff, just kind of running by with the salon professional, I'm really worried about my daughter or whatever. So again, it might not be the client directly, but it's the fact that the more people are able to have this conversation, and the more people who are aware of the next step, if you like, hopefully we can get more people taking the first step on their journey. And
I think the more we talk about it in these platforms, to trying to normalise the conversation, if that's the way to describe it, that it's not a taboo, or you couldn't mention that's always important, I think, as well.
Yeah, and I think people get scared of conversations if they don't know what to do next.
100%.
Yeah, so it's about saying that you're not on your own here. Nobody's on their own. You're not dealing with this situation on your own. There's a whole backup of agencies and services that can.
Look, it's like the initiatives for how to converse with someone who may be suicidal. Taxi drivers are encouraged, or anyone who interacts with other people, because it is what to say. What's the right thing to say? Is it okay to say this, or is it not? Right. So Donna, I don't want to be too prescriptive because, as we've all said, it's right. We're talking about hairdressers, nail salons, but there's probably 7 or 8, 9, 10 other industries this applies to. It is in the Silver Tassie Hotel on the 19th of May. A lot of the people we talk of may be off on a Monday, and we're looking for a 3-hour window here,
Yes.
right? So how do people enroll or get more info? Or
So it's shared on all the Facebook platforms, and there's an Eventbrite link on that as well. So people can enroll in that, or if they can't enroll and they just want to, if they find it difficult to enroll and they want to just contact us and turn up on the day, they can certainly do that as well. But just so we have an idea of numbers and we make sure we have adequate seating, it would be great if people could enroll on the Eventbrite link, which is on. The guards have shared it in their Donegal Facebook page, as have Donegal Domestic Violence Service as well. And you're going to do it as well. But the Eventbrite link is here, Greg, as well.
You're not going to read it out for us?
You're better.
No, Donna, what's wrong? Why aren't you reading the Eventbrite URL out?
It's also on our webpage as well. If you go onto the main,
I know. I just wish we could. It's not your fault. It's just these. It's like. Either way, but the best thing to do is go to our socials, and it's all linked there. And it would be, I think, really encouraging to see a brilliant turnout at this.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's because people aren't willing. It's just if they've got the time and they hear about it. It would be really, if the industry and who responded and wanted to do the best for their clients turned out in big numbers. Wouldn't it be? Fantastic.
It's on our webpage as well, which is Donegal Domestic Violence Services.ie, which might be the easiest one.
Yeah. And even if they can't come for the 3 hours, they can come for an hour. Whatever they can commit to coming is fine with us. And we'll be delighted to see everyone. And as I say, we have a lady coming to tell her story, and it was actually a salon professional she disclosed to, because in her words, it was the only person she could talk to who wasn't going to try and tell her what to do, that she felt if she disclosed her family, they'd say you have to go or you have to leave, whereas this was somebody that didn't know her background, and she felt that they were non-judgmental as well. So
and that was just at her part where she needed to be. That was the right person.
Exactly, yeah.
And of course we've got Gold Purple Day coming up. I mentioned this a little earlier on, Inspector. It's on Friday. There's coffee mornings and stuff, and it's an opportunity to raise awareness and start conversations and get the word out there.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a coffee morning in Donegal Town Garda Station. I know in Inishowen, the local community policing unit are going in with Liveline to Carndonna Community School as well. To talk to the students, yes.
Okay.
Domestic abuse
brilliant,
service.
Brilliant charity up there, yeah.
Yeah, and as I said, our own community Gardaí will be going out and about trying to raise awareness, and the DPSUs on Friday as well around. So,
and there's a lot of resources there at the guards. If people are ringing an emergency, you guys know exactly what to do. You know how to deal with these cases, and there's follow-ups and all that kind of stuff. People should be encouraged by that. Very hard to get an elderly person to talk to the Gardaí. I mean, I'm not sure if we're going to get into individual situations, but that sounds to me like Marie or indeed any of you, but Marie or Siobhan, that someone is concerned for an older person that might be a subject of domestic abuse, and they're trying to get them to engage with the guards, but they're unwilling to do so. It's a tough one, isn't it?
It is, but I mean, I suppose within our service we are an advocacy organisation. Well, not officially, but yeah, we are. So part of the role would be around supporting clients, and then maybe acting as that bridging link with the guards, and also encouraging that, it's not about going to the Garda station all the time. We often offer our venue as places where guards can come and do interviews, but many community guards will go out to the person. But oftentimes, people do want somebody with them, and that's a service that we offer.
And just in relation to it's obviously, the guards can react in different ways. It's not necessarily a squad car with 3 uniformed officers there. You have systems in place where people can meet undercover, on the low key, if you know what I mean. There's lots of different ways that you can engage with people who are reporting these kind of instances, Siobhan.
Yeah, absolutely, Greg. So an emergency situation is emergency 999, as I said, but when there is time, and as Marie said, we work very closely with them. We have a Divisional Protective Services unit who work in plain clothes, and they meet people all the time, away from Garda stations, wherever suits the person to meet. The one thing I would say about that elderly person, they mightn't recognise the abuse themselves, and that's somebody around them that is. So even if they want to talk to us in confidence, we also have the Garda Confidential line, even if they're just looking for information on 1800 666 111.
Okay, anything that you want to add, any of you? That feels good. I feel
Yeah,
we've-
just to
okay,
say
sorry.
we have some of these to give out on the day as
Lovely.
well, Greg. So
Okay.
we'll be giving these resources out as well on the day, and we previously developed
Do you know
them.
what? Really useful to sit in where people take their tea or whatever in a salon or wherever it might be too, because you can kind of flick through. And this is there's a lot of detail in there. Talk to us about the contents, Donna.
So basically, we developed this around the time of COVID. Marie, Siobhan, myself, with some other members of a working group from Donegal SIPSI, which stands for Children and Young People Services Committee, and we developed this as a resource for people living with domestic violence or coercive control, and it has all the contact details of support services. There's a digital version as well, but we have a number of copies of them we'll be given out on the day as well.
And we all recognise, though it happens to be three women that we're speaking to here, we all recognise that domestic abuse is against men and women, by the way. This is not exclusively a conversation about women being the victims of domestic abuse, and there's a lot of information in relation to recognise that men can also be the victims of domestic abuse in this resource pack that's been published.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Marie Hainsworth, thank you.
Thank you.
Great to see you. Nice to see you in studio. Inspector Siobhan Moulihan, good morning to you, or thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg.
And good morning to you. And Donna McGee, HSE Addiction Services Lead. Just to reiterate as well that we've, and maybe it's my fault, we've talked an awful lot about domestic abuse, but I know from your perspective, this is also a space where people with addiction issues too might present, and that's going to be talked about as well.
Yeah, addiction affects so many members of a family, and it touches so many families, Greg, as well. So we will have our services there to offer supports that might be available, and also if that person maybe who's living in this situation has developed an addiction as a coping mechanism, we'll be able to offer support. Or if they're living with a family member who's is willing or is not willing to accept help, we have options for them as well.
Okay, thank you so very much, all three of you. Back with more shortly.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Simplify your debts with a debt consolidation loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Call us on 074 910 2126 or apply online via our app or in office today.
Milford Tiles, Milford Retail Park. Spring sale now on in our wood floor department. 8mm AC4 laminate flooring, €12.99 a square yard. New range AC5 herringbone laminate, $19.99 a square yard. In stock and ready to go at Milford Tiles. 083 0910 707.
Make great photos into beautiful gifts at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. Different gift ideas include canvas prints, freestanding or ready-to-hang art blocks, and personalised photo books, perfect to mark any occasion. There's also jigsaws, calendars, mugs, and much more. For details, visit mcgees.ie. Turn your favourite moments into something truly special with McGee's Chemist Letterkenny.
PDO thread lifts and skin boosters, which rejuvenate the skin by improving facial contours, lifting and tightening the jowls, neck, cheeks and eyebrows, are available at Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. To choose the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. Also offering fat dissolving treatments, dermal fillers and laser treatments for all skin conditions. Hair and makeup packages also available. Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic, Gweedore. 07495 325 75.
With over 1,000 TFI local link door-to-door services nationwide, if you're on our route, we're on our way. To use the service, simply pre-book the day before you want to travel with your TFI local link office. To find out more about door-to-door services in your area, visit transportforireland.ie. We're Transport for Ireland. We're transport for you.
Celebrate summer this week at Centra with our summer sizzler offers. Like Centra Fresh Irish Chicken Fillet 680 gram, $7.50. Selected ice cream like Magnum Mini 3 packs, any 2 for €6. And selected barbecue meats, any 3 for €10. Centra. Live every day.
Highland Radio weather updates with McElhenney's. Get set for summer with all new arrivals dropping every week, from fashion to footwear and homeware to cosmetics. Discover more in-store or shop online at mcelhenneys.com today.
The weather, it's going to remain sunny here. It's beautiful. 20 to 22 degrees, light easterly winds. Phil Boyle, whose family hails from Mallinmore in County Donegal. Good morning, Phil.
Good morning, Greg. Good morning, Majiwa.
Thank you so much for joining us from America.
America,
Isn't
in New
it
York.
amazing where we're at with technology now, Phil? I don't want to sound like a complete old you-know-what, but it's just astonishing that here we are in real time having a chat. And we don't have a ton of time, and your time is precious as well. So we'll get to the point. So what are you working on, Phil, and how can people help?
Sure. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be on your show, and thank you, as always, for this time. So what we've discovered is there's been honors to many of the uprising. We've just passed the uprising, 1916, 109 years ago. Yesterday, James Connolly's memorial of his passing. But what we've realized is there's no statue to Patrick Pearse, who was the person who stepped out from the GPO on that fateful day and read the proclamation, signed his own death warrant. I equate it to here I am in the States, even though, as you say, my people are from Donegal. I'm only one generation in. But we had John Hancock here in the States, and he signed the Declaration of Independence. Everyone knows that. And when he did that, he signed his own death warrant. And I equate that to Patrick Pearse stepping out from the GPO and making that fateful declaration. And it's sad, in my humble opinion, that there's no statue tribute to that to him.
And this is a national and international appeal, isn't it? Because the Patrick Pearse Commemorative Association, they're looking to fundraise to place a statue of Pearse outside the GPO, which obviously is the logical place to do it. So we need to look at this from a national, international perspective.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at it, Pearse, obviously we honor all the men and women who gave Ireland its freedom, and did that on that fateful day. But Pearse is, as they say, kind of a code for the uprising. When you say Pearse's name, everybody in Australia, Canada, the United States, anywhere we are in the world, the Irish, Abu Dhabi, we know what we're talking about. We're talking about the uprising, and it's sad, in my humble opinion. So.
You have your connections to Donegal. Remind us of Padraig Pearse's.
So Pearse was friends of my family, actually, and had been up to Donegal on 3 occasions that I'm aware of, in 1906, 1907, and 1915. He visited with my great-granduncle, actually, who is Patrick O'Byrne, the Bard of Donegal, from Mallinbeg, actually, and was a partner with John Ward out of Killybegs. They were very active in the Gaelic League and bringing about the Irish language. So he visited with him, and there's no surprise that then Patrick O'Byrne's nephew, my granduncle, Captain Eamon O'Boyle from Mallinmore, got recruited by Pearse to come down to St. Edna's in Dublin and be part of his volunteers. But poor old Eamon, good or bad, he got sick the week of the uprising, before the uprising, and Pearse sent him on a mission to Limerick and basically saved his life. But Eamon, Captain Eamon O'Boyle, went on to do things like capture the Coast Guard station at Mallinmore, and he also walked the British forces out of Donegal when he was at Finner Camp. So I have a lot of connections to Pearse and gratitude to the family. So
yeah, it seems so long away, but so recent too when you can make those connections, isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
There's a GoFundMe page if you want to support the project to locate a statue, a commemorative statue outside the GPO. We'll link it on our Facebook. Is there is your own socials or a website available, Phil, where people could get more information?
Absolutely. There is the Patrick Pearse Association, Commemorative Association online, and there's more information. And again, Greg, thank you. Garo Mayagat, thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to participate on your show and get the word out.
Listen, you even stuck on your Donegal jersey. How could we refuse? So what time is it there, Phil?
Yeah, well, with the big win this weekend, we're still celebrating even here in the States. We're very happy, and we're happy that Jimmy's winning matches again.
What time is it with you now?
It is just coming up on 7 a.m. in the morning.
Okay, I don't feel terribly guilty. Listen,
No,
Phil,
no.
thank you so very much indeed. God bless you. Take care. Thank you. That's Phil Boyle, family from Mallinmore in County Donegal, talking of that fundraiser for a statue for Padraig Pearse outside the GPO. We'll link, or you can find that information there yourself. Okay. I believe that is all we have time for. Thank you so very much to all of you who listened to the programme, those of you who've watched the show, all of you who messaged and texted and commented. Really appreciated it. Hopefully now you can enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget, if you're out and about, if you're off work or what have you, take us with you. You don't want to miss out on anything, do you? All right, but we're back with you tomorrow morning